What's up, guys? Welcome back to Kind of Funny's MCU in Review. This is week 5, where we are reviewing Captain America, the First Avenger. This beautiful show is available in many places. If you want to watch the video, you can go to youtube.com/kindoffunny. If you want to listen to the podcast, you can go to podcast services all around the globe. That's thanks to you, Mr. Greg Miller.
How many LaCroix do you need, and why are two of them open?
Here's the thing, guys.
Oh, there are two open.
There are two open.
He likes to smell one while drinking another one.
No, I was about to finish one as I got here,
apologies.
so I had to bring another two.
One of them is a moisturizer.
You gotta get it. You can look up Kind of Funny reviews on podcasts to listen to this, like a lot of you have been doing, and we thank you for that.
Subscribe.
Otherwise, the show, subscribe and like and rate and review and all that stuff on podcast services and on YouTube. That'd be very nice. YouTube.com/kindoffunny. Every Tuesday at 9 a.m. a new episode of this show goes up, leading into Avengers: Infinity War in early May. What show are we gonna, or what movies are we gonna do after that? I don't know. We'll have to figure it out. Let us know
Superman
suggestions in the comments if you would like to see us continue this series. I'm having a great time with it. How are you guys doing?
Great.
I'm thinking the Trolls franchise.
Maybe. Yeah.
Trolls franchise. It's a one movie, and then I think
No,
that
there's two. There's Trolls too.
Is it really?
Justin Timberlake did the song for it. Don't be so quick.
No,
to
that's
walk
wrong.
away.
Yes, I'm Tim Gettys. This is Andy Cortez. That's Kevin Coelho. That's Greg Miller. And rounding out this beautiful quintet,
Yeah.
Nick Scarpino.
Hello.
Shy troll, but I
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
And also, thanks for having Justin Timberlake on the show, too.
My God. if you
Today
close
was
your eyes.
Spider-Man. This afternoon it's Justin Timberlake.
Cool, Greg. Did you finish watching Trolls? Yeah. You like it? Yeah. Trolls getting a good review
That's all you
already.
need.
Where does it come down against the Smurfs movie that you hold as the top animated film of 2017?
Was it really your top animated movie of 2017?
It certainly
Captain America, the First Avenger.
This is the
Are you
Marine
singing
song.
the Marine song?
No. Released on July 19th, 2011. Now, for a little frame of reference here, Thor came out just 2 months before, on May 11th, 2011.
Huge miss not doing July 4th weekend.
True.
Wow.
Yeah,
Right?
huge miss.
Yeah.
I'm guessing
I
there was
wonder-
something else big happening that weekend that they didn't want to
Yeah, I
compete with.
wonder.
Also, I'm sure
Wow,
it performed very well regardless.
It did.
Yeah.
Shockingly, not as well as Thor. Going in here
Thor.
with a budget of 140
Hemsworth.
million. Thor had 150 million. Box office of 370.6 million. Thor 449.3 million.
So Thor did...
Thor did better.
Okay.
A lot better.
I mean, that's not entirely surprising to me.
Really?
Again, going back to this time period, how many people really gave a shit about Captain America, right?
That's the
I
same
would
question
think-
about Thor.
I would think more gave a shit about
But,
Captain America than Thor.
Captain
Really? Because
America,
at least-
the First Avenger.
But who was
I don't
more
know.
popular?
But like, who knew
Chris
what the
Hemsworth
Avengers
or
were? Remember, like
Chris Evans?
my personal touchstone was always Marvel Comics. If you're talking about a team up, it's the X-Men, right? Avengers, and this is me never reading comics growing up. There was never an Avengers cartoon property that I can remember. There was never really like none of them played into any of the popular cartoons from my childhood. So when I go to the theater, I'm thinking Captain America is like a second tier Marvel character. Who is this person?
I mean,
Thor, at least I knew because the word Thor, like
Yeah.
from like a Norse mythology, and I'm like, all right. Plus Chris Hemsworth, shout out, what's up?
Chris Evans, though. I just feel like having the First Avenger subtitle
Yeah.
would sell a lot more because it's for the people that don't. They're like, okay, Avengers, I get it's a team up. I get it's a thing.
Yeah.
I know we're building towards it.
They should have called
This'll
it
be the introduction.
Captain America, Iron Man's friend.
We're getting the
because everyone
former
cared about
Human
Iron Man.
Torch, Nick.
True.
I think
Yeah,
that's
that's true.
enough.
That's very true.
I agree with Nick in that I feel like at the time I was like Avengers, like I knew I had Marvel Ultimate in my mind, but like I feel like we only started reading it, or at least I only started reading that because you were like, hey,
Ultimate's good.
yeah,
No, and
read
totally.
it.
I
Well,
mean,
and it was even really it was just Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And it's like you were like, hey, I'm reading the Spider-Man shit. You should check it out. And then we found the rest.
But I mean, all
So-
that stuff that was way after this, and that's the thing. It's like
Really?
these movies. It wasn't
So
until
yeah, at this point, then like I'm sure that we saw this and we're like,
yeah, totally. But it was
Yeah.
just exciting
Yeah,
to
'cause-
build towards this thing.
we did grow up like Avengers was not like in part
Not a
of our
thing
child.
else.
Yeah, it was
no, but it's the idea of it, the
And that's-
promise of it.
probably why Fox, owned X-Men because we grew up watching X-Men, so that did make sense. When those movies came out, we were really hyped.
Everyone was fucking X-Men. Well, also Wolverine, like the most popular Marvel character. It's not
Well, if
Spider-Man.
I'm not mistaken, I think the cartoon series was a Fox property as well, right?
Yes.
Correct.
Like
Yeah.
they had done things with that property
yeah.
prior
But
to
you got to look at it
2000.
like the reason that Marvel sold the rights to Spider-Man and X-Men is because they're the most popular thing, and they're
Yeah.
the popular thing.
they needed money.
So the
Yeah,
MCU is
badly.
totally being built on what they had at this moment. Directed by Joe Johnston.
yeah. What else did he do?
Now let me run
Here we
y'all
go.
through a list Because
for when I was watching it, I was like, oh man, the Russo brothers were rough here. And then I remember they didn't come in until Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
So I forgot. I have no idea who Joe Johnston is.
So Joe Johnston used to do a lot of special effects and VFX on some movies like Jurassic Park and Star Wars.
Ever heard of him?
Yeah. So those
Star Wars, the Academy Award winning Star Wars.
Don't hold up.
He also worked on Star Wars, the Endor Ewok planet movies.
Sure he did. Fuck yeah.
Let's
he did.
move past that. Let's keep going. That nobody wants to.
He directed Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
No
Great
shit.
movie.
He directed
Great movie.
The
Brought me back.
Page Master.
Oh my god.
Another good
Yeah.
movie.
He directed Jumanji.
Did he
Whoa.
really?
Wow.
And I'm like, wow, this motherfucker is just knocking out. And he also directed Jurassic Park 3. So, hey, they're not all winners. But you know what? I'll defend Jurassic Park 3 as being not that bad.
I mean,
No,
hey, if
here's
you like
terrible.
Jurassic World, it's on the same level.
Here's my big question for you, Tim, because I think out of everyone at this table, you're the only one who's seen Jumanji. Is the Robin Williams Jumanji the good Jumanji or the bad Jumanji now?
No,
Don't even-
stop.
don't
Don't.
even-
That's come on. You
They're
can't.
so different.
Don't
They're
play.
Yeah,
so
you
different.
can't.
Hey, but real talk, shout out to the
Vince
new
did.
Jumanji.
How dare you?
Don't throw stones in a house of.
Stones. Because then you won't know where the stone went.
Wait.
Was this
He was
my
also
stone or
the
was
art
that my
designer.
stone?
I was reading the trivia. He was also. Were you getting there? Or am I kinda-
Which one?
on
Johnson, Joe Johnson over here.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Mhm.
And they kept like there was a bunch of little things that like oh that's similar to Raiders.
So after he holds the Tesseract in his hands, Johann Schmidt, a.k.a. the Red Skull, makes a comment about how the Führer, is that how you say it? Führer, searches the desert for trinkets. That has to be an indirect mention to the Lost Ark of the Covenant from Raiders of the Lost Ark. Not only does it infer to another supernatural relic that will supposedly bestow upon its owner incalculable power. Raiders of the Lost Ark was one of the movies that Captain America director Joe Johnston worked on as special effects supervisor. Johnston won an Oscar for that game.
That's actually historically true. Adolf
Yeah,
Hitler
that's
was
awesome.
actually
Oh, yeah,
known
yeah.
for looking for lost relics like the
All
Spirit
over
of
the
Destiny and things like that, just because he thought it'd give him the power to kill everyone else.
Makes a lot
Pretty
of sense.
fascinating.
But
Why
yeah,
not,
looking
right?
at this, the director's kind of lineage moving into this movie, it's like that's interesting, you know, because it's a lot of like really kind of children movie focused things going on, like classics, 90s classics,
Mhm.
I would say.
Mhm.
Not the hard-hitting drama that is Captain
Captain
America.
America, fucking
Macaulay
Page Master's
Culkin,
a-
dude.
Dude,
God,
Page
so-
Master.
I don't know what
so
Page
good.
Master is.
You've never seen Page Master?
It's like an animated in real like
Space Jam.
he's real in
Okay.
the
Yeah.
cartoon and then he becomes a cartoon. It's like
Oh, who
They
framed
knocked,
Roger Rabbit?
no, Cool World. They knocked it out of the
Yeah,
park with
that
Cool
too.
World.
Cool World.
Brad
Cool
Pitt,
World.
Cool World.
You don't
I don't know what Cool World is.
Mm-mm.
Oh my god,
World
Cool
is.
World was like I shouldn't be watching this. 'Cause
Yeah.
my parents will think I'm trying to watch like pornographic stuff, but
What was it?
it was
It was true for it was
There's some movies in this
Who
movie?
Framed Roger Rabbit like
Yeah.
kind of rip off. It
Don't
was
want
Brad
to-
Pitt where he was like a detective in like cartoon world.
Did
It
he
was
drive
weird.
a
It wasn't
really
very
like
good.
attractive cartoon women. Like
Hey, you know
How
whatever.
far did they go?
All the way.
all the way.
He was 69 in these cartoons. left and right.
Christ.
2 weeks ago when we did
You have to have lip service.
where was it? Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
Greg Miller gave a riveting plot synopsis of
Yeah.
that movie. And then last week I had Nick over there do the synopsis for Thor.
Yeah.
I tasked Andy Cortez this week
Time to raise the bar.
for the
God,
plot
Marvel watchers.
of Captain America, the
Marvel
first
Watchers.
Avenger.
I took a lot of notes. Guys, I watched the movie last night, and then I realized I'm not good at remembering things in chronological order
You're so pretty though.
at all.
This makes a lot more sense. When you were like, I'm taking notes, I was like, dude, like we don't like this
I
isn't a
just-
test, man.
Yeah, like I just don't know.
Well, also this is one of those where they do kind of skip around a lot as far as like time. Like it starts in modern time. Well, actually, well, not modern time. I guess it starts.
So they skip around once.
No, it
go back
does
to
start.
that.
It does start in modern
it does
time.
start in modern time.
Yeah.
You see the frozen
Now, not
Yeah.
modern anymore.
shield
Not modern anymore, yeah.
and then
You're right.
pops back.
So
This little guy.
let me put on my old glasses here, everybody.
Be spectacles.
on,
Be
Start
Come
reading, reading from these notes. All right. So
Get in there,
the
dude.
movie starts off, and they are in the Arctic, right?
Mm.
It's very cold, frigid.
Hot
Yeah.
One would say. Snow everywhere, and these scientists are walking. They're like, "What are we doing? Something crashed here. Was it a comet? Was it a
Cupid,
UFO?
Donald, Blitzen?
Yeah, all of that stuff. So it turns out that it's just a giant thing that's crashed into the ground. You don't really know what it is at this point, but they are able
But
to.
it's big.
It's huge.
And
It's massive.
they keep thinking
It
they're gonna
starts
just haul it away.
It starts off like a
Or
little
get a
tiny
crane
thing.
or-
Yeah, starts off a little like thing, and
you
they,
don't get
they
it.
do the zoom out. It's like, oh, this is a giant thing that's in the snow, in the ice. They eventually go in there and they see, and he's like, hey, bro, you're gonna want to call this one in or something like that. And
3 in the morning. I'm
I
not gonna
don't
wake
care
the
what
general.
I'm not gonna wake the general at 3 in the morning. He's like, no, this one's waited long enough. And they look, and it's in the ice, and you see Captain America's shield
Yeah.
in the ice.
Yeah.
So you know, start off the movie with a bang, right? Or
Captain America
Frozen
confirmed
cold.
to be in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's gonna be in the movie.
It's so
And-
cool. Like I wouldn't have expected that either.
Right?
in a movie called Captain America.
Same here, dude.
It's
Marvel's
so crazy to see that. That's really great.
So then we cut to a scene with Johann Schmidt, otherwise known as Elrond, the half-elven king.
Wait, he's only a
from
half
Lord of the
elf?
Rings.
100%.
No, he's a full elf, right?
No, he's a half elf.
Also known as Mr. Smith.
Yes,
the,
Mr. Anderson.
Also known
The
as
Matrix
Megatron.
1, 2, and 3. Was he Megatron?
In
Hugo
in the
Weaving.
movie.
Yeah, that's his name.
Hugo Weaving's character. What are they doing? They're
They're looking
They're
for
breaking
relics.
down to that church. Remember they break the wall?
They're looking for the Tesseract.
They're in Tonsberg, Norway, which is
Right.
the same place that the Asgardians and Frost Giants fought.
I feel
in
like somebody just
Thor.
said that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No, there's in Thor, it doesn't say where it is.
It does.
It does it?
Yeah, it does.
Does it?
It does.
Does it?
Yeah.
Keep going.
I remember being in Norway. I remember
Yeah,
that
yeah,
being
yeah.
a thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
they said it said
Alright.
There's
Norway,
only
and-
guys. There's only like 2 or 3 places in Norway it could have
The rest
possibly
is
been.
just ice.
Just ice.
and hair.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Norway's
so they
super
and
small.
they-
They burst into
Super
this
small.
church, right? The giant like thing smashed through the door or whatever.
Bad
And
news.
there's
It was like a
there's
giant fist.
There's a bunch of Hydra dudes trying to push off a little the lid of a sarcophagus, sort of a coffin
Situation
thing
going on.
and they're
coffin.
trying to. It's like 5 dudes and they can't fucking push it off or whatever.
Then Johan comes over here.
And then Johann Schmidt just fucking walks in the door and he's like,
John Smith.
He's like, open it! And they're like, we're trying! And he's like, you're stupid! And then pushes it off.
yeah.
That's exactly how it happened.
So one man pushes it off or whatever, and he picks up the cube and he's like, the most like powerful thing in the world. You think that they would hide it in a coffin?
Yeah.
Like he's like, you're fucking, come on.
But
But I
instead,
do
but
think it's
instead,
close.
but I know it's close. I don't know why, but it's a big.
Why are we walking?
Yes, Colonel Clink.
So Schmidt walks over to a door, right? Very Lord of the Rings esque, by the way. There's a tree.
Well, the tree was the
it looks
tree
like
from
the tree
Asgard,
Looks
which
like
is
the
the
tree of
world tree,
Gondor,
right? Yeah.
which
It's
is
also the
Stop
tree
bringing
that
your
he,
fucking
it's the
nerd
tree that
books
he
in here
drew
and
in
talk about
Thor.
comics.
About fucking
right.
walking
So the
around.
tree from
Big
Lord of the Rings,
spider.
Gondor. He walks up to the door, and there's a snake right on the door, and he looks at the snake's eye, and he kind of like pleasures the snake, pushes the button, boom, thing pops out of the door.
Tesseract,
The
bitch.
blue light. You know immediately what it is. Well,
We didn't
We
back
didn't
then.
know
Now
what
it
it
Back
was.
then, you're like, oh, this is the blue light that we saw in the post-credit scene of Thor. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
It made sense.
I guess I don't even know if I made that connection. So he picks up the thing, and he's like,
God, you're pretty.
let's rock and roll.
That is what he says. Let's lock and
That's
roll.
what he says.
And he kills all the people, remember?
Oh, so
Wait,
does
by
he?
the way,
Yeah.
side note, was that Filch from the Harry Potter series?
Yes,
It was
It
not.
was.
It
Yeah.
was- no, that
It
was,
was
a much
not.
older man.
I thought that
thought
was
it was
my first
Filch.
thing too. It was not.
Wait,
Upon
what?
further review, that was not him.
See, I thought it was the old dude from Game of Thrones.
It
That's
is.
Filch. That's
It
Filch.
was him.
It is Filch.
That's Filch?
That's Filch.
I promise you.
All right, keep going.
Yeah.
I'm checking. I'm
It
gonna
is,
do some fact
The
checking.
guy who got the red wedding
He has
guy.
a cat.
Yeah.
He has a cat in Harry Potter.
He does. The Filch
Yeah.
and Filch's cat. And the
guy
cat is a
does a-
scourge of Hogwarts. And everyone hates that fucking cat.
Anyway,
Everyone.
so they steal the test.
Except for Hermione. I think she liked the cat.
But so they killed everybody? I don't remember.
Yeah, he
Did
kills
they
everyone.
zap them or
Remember,
whatever?
he goes, I will, if you tell me where it is, I will spare your town. And the
That's
guy's
not
like,
what he
it's in there.
sounds like.
And then he's like, okay, now I'm not sparing your town. And that gigantic tank
Oh, the
just
big
obliterates
tank,
down. And then he
yeah,
shoots
right.
the guy with his.
Oh, right, with a little
this,
pistol.
And then he gets a little
Yeah.
bit blood on his little
the skull.
On the-
And the Hydra.
Yeah.
Now, this is
Hydra.
also, by the way,
Saying that
we're introduced to Hydra, which is well, actually, I think that's the next scene.
They're
Sorry,
like the
continue.
special division.
SSR, the Special Science.
I was 100% wrong there.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, that
yeah.
is
He's had a fatter face back then.
He had
Good
a beard.
for him.
Well,
before
he's
he
never had a
started-
beard before. He had a
Don't
beard in
touch
this
me.
one.
He was fatter in the face.
So anyway, cut
What's wrong with
to.
you?
How'd you yell at me for you being wrong? You fucking goose.
Talented. I'm
weirdo.
talented.
Where are we
I'm
cutting
sorry,
to?
Andy,
Where
go
are we
ahead.
cutting?
We're
Cutting
still
to
get
a-
through the first 5 minutes of this fucking movie.
We're cutting to the capital of America, New York City, everyone.
Yep.
Capital city.
no.
Washington, New York.
Hometown of the Yankees, guys.
And the Mets.
And we're cutting there. And so Steve Rogers, this little scrawny boy.
Isn't it
he-
Brooklyn that we're cutting to?
Doesn't matter. It's New York.
New York City.
It's all the same.
Oh, is
New
it all
York.
It's all just
Five
considered New
boroughs.
York.
Steve Rogers is trying to get into the army. He's desperate about this. He's just like, he wants to do anything to be a part of this fighting force of America. And he's tried like 5 times. Or is that revealed yet? They reveal later on that he had tried 5 times
Too many facts.
to get into the army. Well, let me read my notes real quick.
There's like 6 of them.
so you got
I know it's one page of notes, but we've been going. Oh no, there's more pages.
2
Okay.
pages,
Oh.
1.5.
1.5.
So
That's
he gets
really bold font, by the way. I want
he
you to know
gets
it's very big
rejected,
font.
right? He gets rejected, and then
The good old
For all the
4F.
reasons. You're looking down his list. and
Asthmatic.
He has asthma.
He's got
he has
a
bad
history
blood.
of
They wrote
cancer.
limp
Yes.
dick on there.
He has a limp dick. Yeah.
Tiny little limp dick.
When is
you
that?
can't fucking hold
He gets
a
his ass
musket
whooped,
with that
right?
limp dick.
Yeah,
That's when it's
well, he
introduced,
goes to
yeah.
the movies. In the movies, he like there's
He's
a
told him to
bully.
do shut up.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's
So
an important
they're being
scene
rude
because
to America.
we're introduced to the character, and the character literally goes like, he won't stay down, right? The bully's beating his ass. He's
I
like,
can
stay
do
down.
this
He's
all
like,
day.
I do this all day.
all day.
And then gets his ass kicked, and then
Oh,
Bucky comes
Bucky
out and
comes
just
in,
comes
yeah.
out of fucking nowhere.
Yeah,
And, just
and he
punches
punches
the
him,
guy.
kicks him
Kicks
away.
him in the
Bucky knew
butt.
that he, after Steve gets rejected, he likes to go to this one movie theater and usually fight in the back alley. It makes perfect sense.
Makes total sense.
Total sense.
Well,
So,
it looked like they were meeting up to go to this next thing.
Not in the back
then,
alley.
So then Bucky's like, "Hey Stevie,
Weird.
Yeah.
you want to head to this awesome convention,
Yeah. The World's Fair.
the World's Fair?"
Well,
and
not the World's Fair.
Well, it's somewhere
Steve
like that.
Rogers is like,
Stark
well,
Fair.
"Yeah, that
The
sounds
Stark
great
Fair, right?
because I love science and I
was
love."
the Stark Fair at the time.
From Iron Man 2 that they bring
Was it
back.
the Stark exhibition?
I
I
imagine.
think it was
yeah.
the World's Fair.
It
At
wasn't
this.
the official World's Fair because they can't use that name, I don't think.
No?
It was a fair like that that had the Stark exhibition.
But
in
what
it.
I'm saying is,
You don't think
is
I
it
know
the
exactly
same?
what you're saying.
Pictures
Okay.
could
They did
afford
not
that.
call it the Stark Invitational.
So
The
Bucky,
Stark Invitational theme song did play though.
and he
Very
gave
good.
a very similar Iron
Very
Man 2
similar speech.
presentation.
But also
Can we just
they
assume that it was
show
that?
the globe.
I'd like to.
There's the giant
you show the
globe
globe?
that
The Oracle
we saw
Center.
Iron Man in Iron Man 2, where Iron Man and
So I think they don't use that name for it. They give it a more generic name, but it is, I think, the Stark Expo.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be.
I'm glad we nailed that detail.
Cool.
Um,
I mean, it's world building.
so
Andy.
they are they're watching Tony Stark
Universe
showing
building.
off this flying
Nope, his
car
dad.
on stage.
Yep.
Howard.
Howard Stark.
Jonathan Stark.
Who, by the way, I really liked as Howard Stark. Right? I really liked him as that character. It's Dominic Cooper, if I'm not mistaken, is the actor's name.
Which is a different actor than
yeah.
we've seen previously.
Right.
Oh,
'Cause he's
yeah.
young.
Well, he's a younger-ish. Yeah, he's not the 60-year-old. He's like the 30-year-old.
And it's cool
But it's
seeing
funny because my wife, who had not seen Captain America before, was watching it. And obviously, she saw the Stark name, so she put two and two together. But she was like, "Wait, is that Robert Downey Jr.'s dad?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Oh, it's really good casting on that guy. Like, he has
Nailed
that
the
sort of
casting,
cocky."
and I love the kind of just building the character of that family.
Yeah.
And being like, oh, this is where Tony got it from.
kissing
Yeah.
the girls on stage.
Which is totally inappropriate, yeah.
So he's trying to show off this flying car. The flying car doesn't work. He's like, "I told you it'd be ready in a few years or whatever." And
job,
then
Eddie.
so they're having a double date there. And essentially, Steve Rogers gets sort of sidetracked. And then Bucky turns around. He's like, "Hey, you want to take these girls out for?" And Steve Rogers.
Well,
is
Steve Rogers
gone.
sidetracked because he sees that there's another recruiting office.
Yeah.
He's
He
gone.
just can't
bolts.
wait to get in the
He just
door.
wants to fight.
Hates women. Just hates them.
Well, he's scared of him.
No, he's
And I
scared
do
of
want to
them.
point out this is
'Cause
the
he wants
third
to-
Howard Stark at this
Yes.
point.
Yeah.
Third Howard Stark that we've seen thus far. We also, there was an Easter egg
Who's the
during
second
this whole
one?
thing that we saw. On display at the expo that Steve Rogers and Bucky Barnes go to is a red superhero costume inside a glass display case. This is the costume of the original Human Torch, a character in the old Marvel comic books from the 1940s. So there's Marvel comics, the OG shit. Not the Human Torch from Fantastic Four.
That we know
totally
and love.
different Fantastic Four.
That's cool.
It's an android that like fucking goes on fire. And obviously this is a reference to Chris Evans being
The Human Torch.
I thought the Easter egg was like, there's a picture of Terrence Howard in the somewhere in the world.
Have you seen this time traveling man? He doesn't age.
So Steve Rogers tries to go get. He tries to go to this recruitment office because he really wants to be in the army and fight for America. And I guess they turned him down again.
Yeah.
Well, they're
He
about to,
fails.
but then of course there was a nicely placed sign right over his right shoulder that said falsifying data on your or information on your application is a federal
Well,
crime.
Stanley
Well,
Tucci had already heard.
Yeah,
Steve-
well,
Steve
Buck-
telling
So
Bucky
him and
why.
Bucky, he's telling Bucky, "Hey, I really want to do this, and I fucking hate that they won't accept me." And Stanley Tucci's walking by, is like, "Oh, how convenient to walk by at this perfect moment." And here,
But again,
this
more character dynamic. He's the reason why he's like, why don't you just go and like stay here and contribute here? And he's like, look, there's guys laying down their fucking lives for this.
Right.
Why should I get to be any different than those
Right.
people? And that's what he
limp dick,
hears,
that's
right?
why.
It's that big fucking fat baby limp dick.
God damn.
that's a lot of adjectives.
Yeah, wow.
Somebody go and contradict each other.
Yeah.
They contradict each other.
Not my
But
dick.
Stanley Tucci's all like, oh shit, I'm trying
This
to do
is what
this
I've been looking
soldier
for.
serum.
Right. I think this
experiment.
kid might have what it takes.
This is the kid who has a good heart and he really wants to do this, and you can tell that he doesn't
Right.
have a negative thing in his body.
He's in it for the right reasons.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
yeah.
So essentially, Stanley Tucci, what's his character? Erskine?
Erskine.
Abraham Erskine.
Yeah.
Dr. Erskine.
So eventually they sort of recruit him. They take him inside of a room and they're like, "Hey,
Take off his shirt.
I want to see your little body." and so he's like, "Yeah, you're in. Like you're in for this. This test is super soldier. What they didn't call it that, right? They
no,
called
but it was like we got a job for you. Like
Yeah.
you're in. He stamps the
A scientific
one
sort of
A or
thing.
one whatever on it.
And
right?
Steve Rogers is down to do whatever. He's like, "Yo, whatever gets me in, I'm in."
Yeah.
So cuts to them, and they're like at the camper already.
Right.
And it's with them and all the other possible people who might be a part
They're
of
all
the super soldier
giant.
thing.
They're all jacked.
Yeah, they're all
dudes.
big dudes. And there's that one douchebag who's like really rude, and he's like, we see Agent Carter for the first time, Peggy Carter, walk up, and she like slams the dude in the face. And he
Yeah,
falls
she does
down.
a step forward and then punches him. So
Yeah.
like, I thought it was so
Assault.
interesting. No, but like in the middle.
He's in the
So
military,
anyway,
so it
so
doesn't
then
matter.
Tommy Lee Jones is like,
Tommy Lee fucking Jones.
So good.
Hell
so
yeah.
good in this movie.
Yeah.
I love it.
He personally kept this movie going for me for the first, like the middle half of it.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure we'll get some of the criticisms I have on there.
Tommy Lee Jones. I didn't take it.
General Ironside, I think, or some shit like that. Who knows? He is a general. He's running this program, right?
Right.
And he has some quips and some one-liners that I'm like, put
Yeah.
Tommy Lee Jones in everything. Just put him in everything, ladies and gentlemen.
So Tommy Lee Jones is looking at Tucci's character, and he's like, "Are you sure you want to fucking have this Steve Rogers guy?
Right.
He's your #1 guy, really? I mean, look at the other guys; they're all big, muscular, strong." And Tucci's like, "He's a cool guy."
Listen, he got a good feeling about this cool guy.
He's like he's the guy. He's the guy.
Yeah, he's the guy.
He jumps on that grenade, man. Great.
Oh,
scene.
great scene. Great
Before we get to that, we're also introduced
The pole?
to
Yeah, the pole scene.
the Red Skull stuff, right? That's happened at this point where he's
Oh, the
they're
Nazis
testing
have
out, they're
gone
trying to
visit?
figure out what we see what they're going to do with the Tesseract, where he's trying to figure out how to power all of these like batteries with the power of the Tesseract, right?
Yeah, with the other bad guy there, Mr.
Zola?
Arnim Zola.
Zola, yeah.
Right.
Who in the
Gorgonzola.
comics is weird. It's kind of like Krang
Yeah.
from
He's like in a
Ninja
TV
Turtles,
set or something.
where he's like in a TV set and like his head's kind of
In the stomach, yeah.
And we sort
That's
of
why
and
they did that like Easter egg gag at the beginning.
the shot of him looking through the
Oh, I didn't realize that. That's
You
cool.
see it all
I knew
weird
that
there.
from reviewing the Captain America video game because it was a big deal that he had somehow switched into that version of the character by that point.
Good job.
When we first meet Arnim Zola in the Red Skull's lab, his face is distorted through a weird lens. It's a reference to Arnim Zola's rather distinctive Jack Kirby design. While fleeing the Hydra Fortress in the first Avenger, the Red Skull's right-hand man, Dr. Arnim Zola, can be seen quickly stuffing files into a briefcase. If you look closely, you'll notice that one of these files is in fact a blueprint for the robotic body the character inhabits in the comics.
Interesting. And of course, he comes back
Cool.
in Winter Soldier
In a
as a
very cool
gigantic,
way.
fucking cool computer. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're testing out these weapons or whatever. I have it here as Schmidt Zola harness the powers.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nailed
do.
it.
They
Nailed
do.
it.
Sounds
Yeah,
right.
That's it.
Next scene. Fuck. I don't know. I may have skipped some stuff, guys.
It's fine.
What?
We're good.
Did I
We're
skip
good.
some stuff?
Did you?
Anyways, Captain America, Bucky dies, and then
Well, if we do see a scene where is that during the painting scene where he's
No, that was a different scene.
Oh, where he's painting the painting?
weird. That's
No,
weird.
yeah, that's a different.
Is
Are
that
you
later
talking
on?
about when like? Because there's the scene where they're like, "Oh, we figured out how to move the batteries," and then later the Nazis come to like investigate, and they're like, "The Führer
Yeah,
likes this."
that's
No,
later.
that's a
Yeah.
different
That's
scene.
later.
yeah.
Okay. Well,
That's when they get the
They do
actual
find out
guns
that-
to work.
Yeah.
Zola and Schmidt are talking about. They're like, "Oh, so you found him? You found Tucci?
Oh,
you
that's
found
right.
oh yeah, yeah.
Right,
that is
right,
during
right.
that is during the painting. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, I sure did." And so he's like, "What are you gonna do about it?" He's like, well, "Check it. Watch
Yeah,
out.
let's fuck him up, dude. Let's fuck him up.
Watch out." So like,
yeah, that is skipped ahead though, because then we do go back after the weapons thing. We go back. We see him training. Right. We see the all important scene where he's like, if whoever can get that flag
Yeah.
right now gets it right back. No one's gotten that flag in 17 years. That flag, right? And then all the guys, the idiot fucking guys, are trying to scramble
Trying to
up, and he
climb
just
it.
walks over, pulls the pin,
Yeah.
and proves that
feels like
brains
cheating.
are
Hey, man.
just as important as brawn. Gets in the car. Peggy's like, "What's up?"
Which
And
is
he's
a
like,
little
"What's up?"
like heavy-handed, I think, but also
I like that scene.
it grows his character, so it's
Yeah.
like you can't have it both ways. Like
and then of course
I
we
love
see
how
the scene.
cool he plays it off. Just kind of like, "Yep, here, thanks."
Yeah.
And just gets in the car. Really cool.
And then, I think we see the scene before that other one where he's officially kind of picked, where we have that dialogue between Tommy Lee Jones and Stanley Tucci, where he's like, "Why do you want this kid? He's failed everything. He can't climb the fucking rope. He's hanging upside down like an idiot. He can't run," right? And Stanley
Grenade
Tucci's
tips.
like, he has that interesting monologue where I don't know if I agree with his thought process, where he's like, a strong guy takes it for granted, but a weak guy who gets strength never takes it for granted. I'm like, unless he's a villain, in which case every weak guy that's ever gotten a lot of power just becomes the psychopath like the Abomination. But we'll just put that
He wasn't
aside.
weak though.
Well, he was old
just
and decrepit,
became
and then
stronger,
became, and then he got,
Old and decrepit.
and then he got power, and
He was like
immediately, in
a
the span of
fucking
5
badass
seconds, turned into a fucking
warrior
psychopath.
guy.
He wasn't like 90 years
But
old.
I thought that was, I actually thought that was a really good scene with the grenade, right, where he pulls
yeah.
the pin and he
Right,
goes
absolutely.
like, he's like, I forget the point he was making, but he was like, let's see, like heart counts
who's the
too.
hero?
Who's really the hero? Throws it in, everyone runs, and he just jumps on it because he sees that that's like his moment to actually do something and like save people's
And they
lives.
focus a lot on the bully of the scene,
who's
who's
cowering behind
comes
him.
behind
the
the car,
vehicle,
yeah.
And then, and that's the point
Well,
where
that's who
Tommy Lee
Tommy
Jones
Lee
goes,
wanted.
we're gonna pick this kid, and then we're gonna go all the way back to Brooklyn instead of this military base that's heavily guarded. We're
need
just
a
gonna
power
go.
grid, Nick.
We're just gonna go back
They
to.
needed the power
We're
grid.
just gonna go
Nick.
back
They
to
did say
Brooklyn.
that. They did say that, Nick.
Then this weird tailor shop.
Which was straight out of the comics.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like this movie was pretty faithful in a lot of ways to Captain America #1, with him facing off against Red Skull and stuff. And yeah, them going to Brooklyn and going into that shop and the woman with the gun and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Straight out of the issue.
I appreciate that. I just
Yeah.
a few of the criticisms I have with this one is there just are things that don't make any sense at all. Like just not even explained. This whatever, it's cool. It's a cool secret
doesn't make
underground
sense?
lab.
Yeah, what are the moments?
The entire ending.
Yeah, we'll get there, but I totally
The
agree
entire
with you.
ending.
But so they get him
At
into
no
this,
point do that because we'll go into it.
we
We'll
get him
get
into this
there.
spot where he gets the superpower.
he gets
Yeah.
superpowers, yeah. And so he, it's a little secret lab, and Tom Lee
pretty
Jones
big
is there
secret lab.
along with all the other scientists, and
Yeah,
they're
the
watching
Outlaws
along.
there.
Pagent Carter, that's what I called
Peggy.
her. Peggy Carter is there as well.
I love you, Andy.
And at this point, she's like falling in love with him already. You could
Well,
tell.
she realizes he's a good guy,
Yeah.
right? They have that dialogue on the way over where she's like something about dancing, and he's like, "I'm just looking for the right one to dance with, the right partner. I haven't
Yeah.
found the right partner yet." And she's like, "Oh, maybe if this guy gets a fucking schwall in the next 15 minutes, maybe he could be my partner."
Yeah.
Man, if this treatment cures his limp dick, baby, huge dick.
This big fat floppy baby dick.
So he goes. So he gets in the little body thing, and Howard Stark is there as well, sort of supervising and turning the knobs. And they stick him with a little needle. He's like, "Oh, that wasn't so bad." He's like, "Oh, that was
penicillin."
That was penicillin." you can handle this accent.
so
I'll
bad at
I'll do the
accents.
Tucci accent. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So they give him one thing I didn't like is that you didn't see the 6 pokes from the serum.
Well, because he
Oh,
regenerates
fucking
now faster.
Regenerates, bro.
Oh,
He's
you're
Wolverine.
right.
Yeah.
Easy cop out.
Yeah.
It's the easiest cop out.
I mean,
you can
he
think.
does regenerate
Yeah.
faster.
I do
Sure.
like that it was the same vials as
Yep.
they had in Incredible Hulk.
Incredible Hulk.
So,
It was a little bit weird that they had 8 vials or like 9 vials, but they only needed 8 of them.
and then one of them got stolen.
And then one of them
Like,
just happens to get stolen. I was like, all right, maybe just don't just bring what you
Well,
need to the party. Don't bring
they
extra
kept
beer.
more because then we know that in the future the Russians steal him and experiment with people too.
Yeah.
But we also know there's got to be a few lying around, right? Because the Hulk, like
The
there's
abomination?
clearly more.
Yeah.
Didn't they
serum.
get that from his blood though? Right.
What?
At some point.
No,
The
because they
abomination?
go into and it
From
says Vader Ray.
Abomination. Yeah, Abomination. They use the exact same blue one,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
They just
So
couldn't
the-
get it to work
yeah,
right
they couldn't get it work
because they
right.
didn't have Stanley Tucci.
So they stick Cap,
Pass the Tucci to the left.
and then they're like, "All right, time for the Vita rays." So he's there in the little room, whatever,
Vita rays.
and they're Vita.
No, I'm just
Vita?
fucking around.
And so they're getting like to 70, and he's like, "Ah, shit!" And then Howard Stark, they're like, "Stop it!" And then he's like,
Carter's
"No,
like, "No."
I can go further."
It's a good
And then-
moment. I like that moment. I was
good
like,
And so
ah,
they
look at
kept
this little
going
tough
to like
kid.
90 and then eventually to 100, and the like random sparks started going off.
Which was like honestly, that was bullshit.
The sparks?
The sparks?
Yeah. Why the fuck? Why the fuck?
1940s power grid, bro.
Power
It's
grid,
too
man.
much power.
Man,
Too much
I
power.
don't know. That
When
was-
it started, he was
that's
like, "We're gonna
such
blow
a
the
dumb
power of the
movie
city."
moment to me, where I saw some like, this does not add to this moment at all.
It's like the Frankenstein
of
sort
like
of moment.
random fucking shit going off. I'm like, things cannot explode.
Yeah,
Like,
they
that's,
needed.
That's fine.
Did they add like camera shakes?
Yeah, but
too?
they
Like,
did that like the whole movie when they did the like when they got the Tesseract and did the batteries, like that blue shit went everywhere.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
they like
This
exploding.
is
it.
AC/DC power, man. You know what I mean?
DC
Yeah.
power.
DC
dude.
power.
You're right, dude. You're right.
So he comes out of the little body shell thing, and he's fucking jacked.
Yeah,
dude.
Let's take a
great.
second here.
Yes.
Because his fucking biceps are the biggest that I've ever seen. When I think to myself, hey, Nick, ultimate goal body, Chris Hemsworth, Chris Evans from either Thor or Captain America. No brainer, Chris Hemsworth.
Fuck that up.
Clearly no brainer. I'd fuck that whole thing up.
I'm really
but dude,
confused.
he got fucking huge
Huge.
for
that,
this.
That shot when it opens up and it's just him, you're just like, okay, I fucking love this. And then jumping ahead just a little bit
Well-
when he's in the like the actual old school Captain America
Yeah.
spandex. I'm like, God damn, you made this costume look good. How?
Well, there's the great
the moment when-
great moment where Peggy walks
Yeah,
up
that's it, yeah.
and just touches his
Yeah.
like his pec. That is amazing. Is amazing because that's what you'd be like, what the fuck? Like you would, and it was very camp. I read in the trivia that,
Yeah.
that apparently that was actually like that was an ad lib, and she almost like started laughing because his biceps were so.
I love it.
His fucking pecs were so big.
So eventually they're like, "Hey man, you're huge and shit." And then they notice a dude, a kind of a sketchy looking dude, almost like
almost the guy that no one knows who he is.
almost like
German looking guy.
this guy?
like the
very
bad guy
Aryan.
from Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
What's it?
Slugsworth.
Slugworth. Yeah, he's kind of just walking around. This guy looks like Slugworth. His name is Kruger, and and I don't know how
Dead giveaway,
Tucci knows
by the
something
way.
is wrong.
He just knows something's not right.
He just
looks
knows
over there at
something's
them,
wrong.
right?
Yeah. So he sees Kruger bust out a little match
Lighter.
and a lighter. Yeah, and he's like, no, right? Does it, and boom, explosion up top. It's supposed to be a diversion or whatever. And then what happens? He grabs the fucking vial, pops Tucci twice. That's a Tucci, two shot for Tucci.
That was
in
way
the
funnier
chest.
than it should have been.
And he and
falls
Silent
down.
Tucci falls on the ground, man.
And he does this.
Yeah, he's like,
No, you're ahead of yourself.
By the way. So then Kruger kind of runs up the steps and he gets shot by
that shot
Peggy Carter.
mirrors like almost exactly like I saw frame by frame things of Tony Stark with
Jensen!
Yeah, and Jensen, yeah. Like the way that they die and the way that things shot, it's like shot for shot the same.
God, Jensen was such a good
Why
character.
fix what isn't broken? You know.
Right.
So Kruger is running up the stairs. He gets shot by Peggy Carter, but he ends up like still getting away somehow. And then the old lady walks out with her Tommy gun.
Fucking
First off, and this is another one of those instances where I'm like, who's doing security for this? That the last line of defense is this 97-year-old lady with a fucking Thompson rifle that when she pulls the trigger, comically just goes up into the ceiling as she's getting plugged by the
She got shot. She got shot.
Nonetheless, if I was like, oh, guys, don't worry about security. Granny got this. She better be a fucking sniper with that
have a
thing. She better
Don't
be
worry
surgical
about
with this
security.
shit.
There's like a million MPs between
Yeah.
them and the door.
And they
just-
all went out like wusses.
they got-
dude. They just got
True.
jacked.
That's
This
true.
guy
An
had a fucking
explosion will
Luger,
confuse people.
And they had, oh, idiot. They were just, I mean, come on, man. Train your fucking
But
people
what
better,
follows
Stark.
this was an awesome
Awesome
action
chase scene.
Cars everywhere, him just fucking running.
A man
I did have a
chasing a
moment
car.
where I'm like, he just got this shit. Like, how would he know how to be so?
But
felt
that's
it,
the
man.
thing, like,
And
and,
then he
I
runs
think
to the
they,
window.
yeah, they explain it by like him like not being able to take the turn and just going into the window.
And then
and-
he is doing the thing where he's running and he like looks down and realizes he can go faster. Like,
Yeah.
I thought it was really good storytelling, nonverbal storytelling.
Yeah.
Because it was, you saw him being like, I should not be able to do this, but let's fucking do this. And he just took off going. And he's barefoot in it too.
Yeah, which is very
Actually,
noticeable.
it's funny because I remember seeing those production
stills,
stills.
yeah.
I remember. Do you remember those back in the day
Yeah,
where it was like
yeah.
his gigantic fake feet?
Well,
that he
yeah,
was
they had
wearing?
the big old.
Yeah, they were like
no, I
shoe.
didn't know that.
They were shoe
Stupid,
feet.
yeah.
Yeah.
Fake feet.
But yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
well, how the hell? It's again another one of those interesting things to look at. Recently, we
took
talked
a
about the
Hobbit.
Captain Marvel
yeah.
costume,
Yeah.
and I think you were on the show with me, or one of you guys were on the show with me.
Wasn't me, but
where we were
with
talking
those
about like how
weird-ass fucking
it
lips.
looked terrible, but who knows how it's going to look once it's filmed. I was like, this
Man, it
movie.
looks terrible,
I'm like, the
though.
big feet are going to ruin this movie. You know, like you don't really see it.
You
unless
don't
you
fucking
look
see
for
it
it.
at all.
No, it doesn't
I
matter.
actually every time I see that scene, I look for the big feet, and I see the feet and they look normal.
Yeah, they look normal. He's running
yeah.
around.
So he's
Punchable.
running after Kruger.
Yeah.
And then Kruger gets a little boy and he's like holding him hostage.
That was a great scene.
Captain America is like running
I can
at him with like the thing to protect himself from getting
car
shot
door.
I
or
love that
whatever.
Captain America in this movie.
A car door.
Anything he can use as a shield,
He uses.
he just fucking does it.
Yeah,
Earlier in
right.
the
The
early,
garbage
the
can
Bully
land,
Fly
garbage
has
can
the
land.
garbage can land later, whatever the fuck it was.
Which, by the way,
door?
until you
Car
said
door,
that,
yeah,
I didn't
taxi
realize
door.
there's a nice
With a
callback
star
to
on
a kid
it.
at the end that has the garbage can.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's running with a Captain America
Yes.
shield painted
Dope
on it, which is
as
dope.
fuck.
So the guy takes a little kid hostage. He runs out of ammo and then he throws the kid in the water. Captain
And
America.
it's
The kid's like,
fantastic.
Such a good
I can
moment.
swim.
It
Go
cuts,
get him.
And the kid just goes, get him, man.
I can swim.
Fucking awesome.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great
Yep.
line, because that could have went so bad.
yeah. So then he keeps running after Kruger. Kruger has a fucking
Submarine.
submarine.
He's got his
He
Hydra
pulls out
submarine.
his lighter again and clicks it one more time. Now a fucking submarine goes
Yeah.
up. I love that.
This thing that I imagine in my brain was like him go after the submarine and like get him out, and then he does another click, and then like a spaceship goes up, and then Chris
It's just Austin Powers. It's just the beginning of Austin Powers. The Bob's Big Boy takes out. I was like, where the? Not even a thing in the 40s.
He has so many gadgets. So anyway, so he ends up taking him out of the submarine, throwing him out into the land.
In all the kerfuffle, by the way, he has dropped the vial at this point, right? Oh no,
Yeah.
that happens after
right
this.
here.
Yeah.
That
right,
happens
yeah.
there, okay.
So he dropped the vial, but then he crunches on one of them.
He's a
little,
cyanide
Takes
pill.
the tooth off.
I was gonna say Claritin. Yeah.
Which
See,
was cool. I liked that.
That was a great scene.
Because it was
Oh,
everyone's
know,
just like,
scene.
oh
It was
shit,
cool.
like, there's some real stakes here. People are, yeah, and he said Hill Hydra, which is
Yeah.
like, it added a creepiness that we haven't seen so far in MCU.
very
What did
like,
he say? He said like you take one head, two
He said,
more will rise.
cut off one
Yeah,
head, two
cut
more
off
will
one.
rise.
That's it.
Hydra.
It's
And
just
people
a
are like,
very
"You're
like
just a grunt."
sinister sort of
Yeah.
feeling scene. It was pretty cool.
Into your head.
So he eats a cyanide. Kruger's dead. Number one assassin gone.
Right.
Off the ring.
Take him off the board.
But also, so is the super serum program. The super soldier program is also gone. Everyone's like,
Scrapped
there's no way we can
immediately.
use this guy now because I asked for an entire. Tommy Lee Jones like, I asked for an armor, you gave me one person. Let's not use him at all, and then walks away.
yeah, I was dumb.
And
Tommy
you're
Lee
like,
Jones.
what's
was
happening here? And then the guy's like, wait, I've got a good
I got
idea.
a job for you.
I'm
Yeah.
a PR person. You can go around in tights,
Sell some
Sell
war
some
bonds all across America.
which arguably is the more important job.
No.
I'm just saying.
When he goes and like fights Nazis, that's probably more
'Cause,
important.
I mean, economically, you have to have money to have a war, right? I mean, he didn't just win the war single-handedly by
he
himself.
pretty much does
No,
So
until he
this
gets
is just really
frozen.
great scenes,
right?
of him out there doing a little song and dance as
Brooklyn,
Captain
Chicago,
America
like,
with the
punching Hitler in the
comic
face.
faithful costume,
Yeah.
which is really cool because it's something we haven't really seen so far. I mean, there was reference to it in Incredible Hulk about the purple pants and stuff,
Yeah.
but we just get to see him in
that costume.
in the look, which
Yeah.
was really cool.
Yeah.
We see him fighting Hitler, which was
That was
awesome,
fun.
and a reference to the first cover,
which they then showed in
Captain
the
America
movie,
issue 1,
or
which
the-
they then
yeah.
show somewhere. That's cool.
That's
Lot of
cool, yeah.
stuff going on.
Yeah.
And I like this too because it's interesting because in the Marvel, prior to this, obviously secret identities were always the most important thing. But we're what 5 films in now, and we know who 2 people are. Like we know that Captain America is Steve Rogers, and we know that Iron
I don't
Man
think the
is-
public knows that.
really.
Yeah, I think at the
I
end of the
I always got the idea that
Well-
people just knew who he was.
Well, I
'cause he
think-
was like a spokesperson.
I think that people thought he was like a movie like celebrity.
Okay, I mean, I
Yeah,
might
'cause,
be.
like
yeah,
I think this
you're right.
ends and nobody knows that
No,
Captain America.
This was one of our ongoing arguments. Right?
Yeah, I know.
Of, like,
Yeah,
he
it
gets
still
the
is.
Valor menu, or
What?
he gets the Valor medal.
yeah, but like
But
that's
Captain
like
America gets that.
yeah,
Right,
I think
Captain
it's the
America
character.
is the guy who
They don't
was
say,
walking
like,
around with
Steve
his he was
Rogers
walking around
gets
with his
it.
mask off,
We're gonna
signing
have to figure this
autographs.
out. I
in
will
this
say
movie.
shout out
but
to
I,
Queen
but I think that's
Marjorie.
from him going around
Yeah.
towns being like
way ahead, but yeah, no, she's there.
the Bond dude.
Yeah, so people know that Steve Rogers is Captain America. They know what he looks like.
I would have to
What I'm
assume
saying
they
is I don't
definitely
think that they
Yeah.
know that he's a real superhero.
I'd have to assume
they
though,
do.
like, because he's
Really?
Yeah,
when
yeah,
you get
but-
to him getting the
When he-
medal of Valor, which I cannot say, they know that he's fucking
Yeah, when he-
Rescued
dope as
all those
fucking
people.
hell, yeah.
when he comes out and like pretty much the last half of the movie, like or not even the last half, him rescuing the what were they called? The
F Troop.
Wolfhound. No, Hound's Blood, Houndstooth,
something.
Howling Wolves.
Yes.
The 107.
Yes. Yeah, when he rescues them, I think that's when
Houndstooth.
it's like, yeah, people know who this is. He's not just a fake comic book superhero. He's a real person doing real shit.
So they are overseas. They're still doing this war bond shit, and then he overhears that.
Right, there's a bunch of army
His
people who are
boys.
assholes to him, and they're the ones that have survived this gigantic attack.
Yeah,
And Bucky was in that troop of
yeah.
people,
and he's
Bucky's
no
not
longer
here.
getting the applause from like.
Yeah,
all
because
these-
he's,
Oh,
in
that
the-
was a
he's
great
in the
cut,
real
yeah.
campaign.
Him from all the people cheering and loving him, and then it just cutting and him just being fucking
Silence.
pissed and like not just silence but hating him.
Hecklers.
Yeah.
Fuck cool.
yeah, throwing
And shout
fruit
out to
at him
whoever
and shit.
brings tomatoes to a
Yeah.
rally. Just start throwing at people.
Every
I love
time,
that.
take a tomato.
He tells that line of Peggy Carter. He's like, "Yeah, I'm used to the crowds being more like 12."
Yeah.
because he's used to a bunch of kids cheering for him and shit. And then he overhears that I guess people went missing, and he asks Tommy Lee Jones if Bucky was part of it. And he's like, you know what? I think I remember reading that name. I think I wrote that letter of condolence or whatever. Sorry. And Cap's like, we got to go save his ass, dude. We got to, because he's my boyfriend. I want to kiss him.
There are guys out there I got to save.
Yeah.
Best
And I'm the only one that can save him.
friend. Joking about it.
And he takes the steel shield that is by no means bulletproof and gets out
Yeah, I
there.
thought that was interesting. There's like
It's a prop,
his prop shield. I was like,
yeah.
eh.
Takes a
Yeah.
prop
but it's
helmet.
fun.
Yeah. So they go out there, and Peggy Carter's like, I'm going to help you out. We're going to do this together.
Of course, Tony Stark's there too. Like, I'll fly you over.
Howard Stark's
Howard Stark's there too. And then they talk about
Fondue.
fondue.
It's a real helmet, though, right?
I assumed it was.
It was
a
a
real
real
helmet,
but that
real
was weird.
jacket.
I mean, whatever. This is movie nitpicking, but like why would that girl and Chris Evans' super soldier head have the same size head? But whatever.
It's fun.
So they infiltrate the base, and they end up
We share a
saving
giant skull.
all of the Americans that were captured, including Bucky. And Bucky's like tied to a table, and he's like,
He's been experimenting on.
He's like, I remember you being smaller or some shit like that.
Yeah, that was a
He's
good
grabbing
scene.
his
That was a
dick.
good scene.
That's what he's doing.
they weren't.
What?
It's platonic.
It's not like that.
So he Cap rescues all these people, and they're trying to escape. And then they essentially Rogers and Schmidt, Red Skull,
Yeah.
confront each other.
And that's
Yeah.
when he tears off the mask.
The
right?
mask,
Yeah.
and we see the
As he
red
punches
skull.
him in the face, and it's that really fucking weird, like
Yeah.
half his eyes
I got
off. You're
red
like,
eye.
oh no! And then he pulls it out,
Oh,
and
no.
he's like, Ducci's character, whose name I can't remember, did this to me, and there was some drawbacks, but I am the one who is the better one. And they fight, and then the other guy's like, don't let him fight, because then the movie would be over. So let's just draw the bridge, and the bridge goes like this, and they, for whatever reason, just let each other part. And then the only exit to the building is on the side of the Red Skull. So they got to go up.
Except for the elevator that takes you to the garage.
That's where
Lots of
Zola gets the car with the blueprints for the robot suit.
Yeah. Well, it already happened by that point, but
So then Bucky ends up like getting across, crossing the little thing, and then Captain America does this awesome jump, like just major ups, dude. And he like crosses this huge ravine.
and then
Or
it,
does he? The fire engulfs him. We don't know.
Yeah.
Smash cut to Tommy
Yes,
Lee
no.
himself,
I hear-
not Tommy Lee.
And he says that he's
writing the condolence letter.
yeah,
for him.
writing the
Tommy
condolence
Lee and
letter.
Pam Anderson are back, fucking on a boat
Oh
too.
my God.
Yeah, I threw that out there. I don't care. That's a reference.
That was a classic.
So they so he's writing the condolence letter, and everybody thinks they're dead. Agent Carter's kind of sad, you know. It's a very somber mood.
Dance with him.
And then Tommy Jones is like, what's all that ruckus over there? And then they look around the corner and just here they come, dude.
400 people unannounced walk in to this military base.
Yeah.
400. What? Who's guarding? Is the? Oh, it was Grandma was supposed to be there. She was supposed to be guarding the base.
She got
fucking-
Why would they stop Americans from walking into American
I'm just-
base?
I'm
I don't
just
know if
joking
they
around.
would stop as much as they might radio ahead.
Yeah, but like, hey, there's like a
people
bunch
just
of people.
Captain
Holy
America,
shit,
he's
guys!
here.
But by the way,
because it
with
would have
all those
begun
lost
right.
dudes.
Holy shit, guys! There's a bunch of people walking towards us.
It
They
is.
have Nazi tanks.
It is worth noting that scene was cool. So we got to see what is it? The Howlers, Howling Wolves,
The Howling Commandos.
Howling Commandos. We got to see them working as a team, and you're like, oh, these guys are fucking wrecking shop. They're like, keep moving and just fucking people up, even though two of them are getting taken out at a time with a weird like War of the Worlds machine.
Yeah.
You know,
So cool.
I thought it was pretty cool.
good.
They get in the tank, and the
like
guy's
a
got that
Dr.
great line where he's
Manhattan
like,
fucking
I said
gun,
French
yeah.
for, oh no, he said, what is it? I said German for 2 years until I realized the French girls were hotter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the Howling Commandos in the comics, it was Fury and the Commandos, and Fury and the Howling Commandos, and they fought together in World War II. I don't know that that's canon in these movies, but there's that, and Kenneth Cho, who plays Commando Jim Morita here, shows up in Spider-Man: Homecoming as the principal of Peter's school and the grandson of the character he plays.
Oh, that's cool.
That's really cool.
That's really smart.
Yeah.
Great tie-ins, man.
Good job. Good
They
job.
deserve that clap that you just gave them.
Do they?
So then Captain America's like,
Oh, by the way, we missed. Do we talk about the map that he sees as he's
No, I
escaping?
see
Oh
the
yeah,
map
he
of the other-
memorizes.
He sees
it,
the map
yeah.
of all the other Hydra locations, which you're like,
All
why
the
would
other
he not?
strongholds,
Why would
yeah.
he not fight to keep this cool factory? But he was like, nah, fuck it, I'm gonna blow this factory up
I got so
because
many
I got
factories.
8 other factories,
yeah.
and no one could take those down.
So because he's like superhuman and shit, he has a superhuman brain too.
Right.
And he's
Yeah.
able to like photo memory all this shit.
Photo
and,
memory.
Photo memory.
That's what they call it. That's the
And so
legal-
him and so it cuts to him and he's like pointing at all the strongholds with Agent Carter.
Right. We
And
gotta
he's
go.
like,
Sorry,
and
only
he's
saw it
like,
for a
I
second.
got a good photo memory. That's,
Yeah.
that's the line from the movie. And then I guess like, are they doing this? No, I guess Tommy Lee Jones.
Well, it's important to note that, by the way, at this point, we've established that the Red Skull character said, "Fuck Hitler, I'm going to take over
Right.
the world."
Yeah.
So
And he's
I'm
on
using
this map too.
I'm using this, I'm using this extraordinary power that I've developed, and he has that point with the
Zola?
other side, Zola, where
Zola,
he goes, we all knew that there would be a day that would come where we would outgrow Hitler, basically.
Yeah,
And,
he's
that
like,
day
I'll-
has come.
He has some Nazis come, and he's like, "Hey, Nazis, look at this map." Hey, and they're like, "This is."
And they're like,
where
"Wait a
we
minute,
are."
this is where
And he's
Berlin
like,
is on
"Fuck
this
you,"
map.
and
Yeah.
blows the
He's like,
shit
no,
up.
we live
Yeah.
in
He's like,
Berlin.
we're tired of Hydra living in
shadows.
the shadow of
And
the
also,
Nazi regime.
at this point, we've seen Hydra a lot. We've seen them in their suits, like
Those
full out
badass
with their
fucking
weapons and
suits.
everything, with the fucking move. And it's like, it's fucking awesome. And this is yet another one of those things that we keep talking about in the movies we watched so far, where when I first watched these movies, I didn't give a fuck because it was all just new shit to
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
I didn't know who Hydra was. I wasn't familiar with the comics like that. I don't know any of the shit. But now, having seen what comes later and having read thousands of Marvel comics, it's cool. I'm like, man, those outfits, they
Yeah.
nailed it. Like, they
Yeah.
look like
They're
Hydra.
fucking terrifying.
They're acting like Hydra. This is really, really, really cool.
Yeah, and it was cool too is that
It's a cool Wolfenstein
they were able
vibe.
to establish the
Yeah.
fact that Nazis, high level Nazis, were scared of these dudes.
Yeah,
You know, it's like it's very terrifying. It was
very
cool.
cool.
So they're getting ready to go take out all these strongholds. Captain America's he's asking Howard Stark like, "Hey, I need a cool shield." And he's like, "Dude, I got one for you." Right? Isn't that what happened?
Yeah, that's 100% right.
That's
And then he
100%
shows him a
Yeah.
bunch of lame shields.
Yeah. And
This
then,
one has rockets and spikes.
Yeah,
and then he's like, well, "What about this one?" He's like, "This one is the rarest metal in the world, vibranium. which is made from a comet that landed in Wakanda, and that's where Black Panther is from.
He didn't say some of those things.
He didn't say any of that.
He didn't say.
And
He
made
didn't say
the
any of
comet
that.
part
But
up.
he said this is vibranium.
That's all there is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but what caused him to say this is all that's
Why doesn't it? Rogers is like, why doesn't everybody have this?
Oh,
He's
right.
like,
Why
that's
isn't
what
it
you're
standard
holding in your
issue?
hand. Is
Yeah,
all we
that's
have.
all
Yeah.
We
Also-
skipped the part where he made out with Marjorie from
Exactly.
Game of
That's
Thrones.
the key
right.
thing, guys.
Fucking great
Marjorie,
great
Natalie
moment.
Dormer from Game of Thrones, who is perfect, is there for some reason, and she's a good guy.
She's like a secretary or whatever.
yeah.
But she's just there, and
office
then
administration.
she's just sneaking the smooches.
Yeah.
And it's just
Sneaking
like,
the
On behalf
smooches.
of all
Well,
Americans.
she's turned on by how like built and
I
how
mean, I
handsome
get
he
it,
is.
I
We
get
say all
it,
the
but it's
Well,
like,
yeah, he's also.
as
She
a
was reading that
viewer,
article.
You know,
Oh my
we're
God,
we're here rooting for Little Miss Peggy Carter, and then all of a sudden Marjorie comes into play, and I'm like getting all confused, and I'm just like, God, this is a hard situation for everyone.
And
to
then
be
of
a part
course Peggy Carter walks in at the
in
wrong
on
moment.
on the smooch.
Right.
Yeah,
and
because
you're
they
like,
had started the whole
"Oh."
partner thing at that point. Where
Right.
she
Yeah.
had said that she was waiting for, maybe she was waiting
Yeah.
for the part when she turned on Bucky Barnes.
They were alluding to this
Yeah,
sort of.
she-
Yeah,
relationship,
well, yeah, we'd already seen the sparks going. We knew it, but now we had it on the record.
Great
that
scene where
she was
Bucky Barnes
interested
is
as well.
like, "I've
No,
never been
I'm you."
ignored like
Yeah,
this."
yeah,
Yeah, really cool.
with all them howling commandos there too.
But real
That
quick,
part.
did we like the Howling Commandos? Because I felt like
They were there. They're whatever.
they felt exactly like
The people from World War from
Wonder Woman.
yeah, Wonder Woman,
And
exactly.
that's-
Where it's like,
I don't wanna
oh,
go-
there they are. We don't really need them.
I don't want to go into this conversation too deeply, but it's like it's funny watching this movie where I'm like, Wonder Woman's better.
Oh, Wonder
Period.
Woman was a vastly
Well,
better movie.
I don't
When I was
know.
watching Wonder Woman,
The
I was like, oh,
third
it's
act-
just Captain America again. And I'm just like, now watching Captain America, Wonder Woman, I'm like, fuck, man.
I feel like
Wonder Woman-
the third act of this
significantly
movie
better.
is much better than the third act
Oh,
of
God,
Wonder
I
Woman.
know.
It's terrible.
And I hated the third act in Wonder
Damn.
Woman. But the
All
third
right.
act in this.
Well, we'll get through the plot and then we can go back and start
Yeah,
picking
so they
this
get
apart.
the shield and they're like, we're gonna go get Hydra and all these strongholds, and we cut to like sort of a montage.
Montage.
Yeah,
So
so
Captain
beating
America's
up all
like,
the-
I'm going to need a new outfit. And then they debut his new fucking outfit.
I got
He
some
looks
notes.
dope as
Here's
fuck.
some
which I thought
notes.
looked dope.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the montage of Captain America
like the little
kicking ass
baggy.
with the shield,
Yeah, that's true.
whole bunch of shit, one of my favorite things we've seen so far.
See, that was my least
But
favorite.
really bad CGI.
So here's where this movie starts. Like I was like, okay, this is kind of a fun little movie we're on right here. Like starts breaking down, but a lot of the action in the movie I thought was not very well done, including the part where he jumps and the fire engulfs him. You're like, that was a terrible
That looked
effect.
bad.
Yeah,
Looked really bad. Also, this part was the most disappointing part of the movie for me. Right? They have to raid 6 of these factories, which totally didn't need to be 6. Maybe it was comic accurate. I don't know why, but it would have been way cool if it was just one more factory that they had as a backup, or 2 more, and we got to actually see them work as a team. Because we never really see them work as a team. We don't have that team dynamic of them like gelling and figuring out and him becoming a leader and really understanding it. We just get a weird montage that, while had some really cool shots in it, like I'm a particular fan of the shot with the 2 fucking dudes with the flamethrowers that are like zeroing in on it and all
Why
that
do they
stuff.
do that though? Why do they the diamond shape?
Because to stop him, and then they were gonna like slowly. I don't know.
I hated that.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting.
So we get. I mean, that shot may have actually been during the final storming of the final castle. But we get all sorts of cool stuff, and we see him starting to figure out. But he just inherently takes to the shield like a fish to water. Doesn't have to. There's no learning curve with that. But I just felt like that whole thing. I'm like, this is a montage. Why are we doing this in a montage?
Oh, see, I'm so
It's
happy
really weird.
because I think we got a lot of the money shots out of the way, and like I didn't need more of like a big.
It's like when you're watching porn and you just get the compilation or the compilation,
yeah,
if you know what I mean.
Good God.
There's just sometimes you need the build up
I
to
don't
it.
know that you do though.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know that you do.
I do.
Yeah,
I do. Sometimes.
So they get it down
Sometimes.
to 1.
So they go from 6 to 1.
They get to the
But they don't know
they
where
get
it
to the
is.
last
And meanwhile,
one.
Red Skull's like, they keep taking our bases. Why can't you? And the guy's like, I'm sorry, he came at me like a
We
spider
fought
monkey.
to the last
We fought to the
man.
last man. It's like, apparently not. Right?
So
Standing in the right, pulls up his Rolls Royce to the rubble of another one in his factory. He's like, oh, again?
Yeah, they did do that. It was
It's
funny.
terrible.
So did they capture him, right? They capture Steve
He lets
Rogers.
himself get captured. So they go,
Yeah.
okay, how
they
are we
can
going
bust through
to?
the window.
Well, first off, they get
Oh,
Zola.
we're gonna
Well, yeah,
walk
they
to
get
the front
Zola.
door.
They figure out that there's a train that they got to get on. I can't remember why.
I love the scene with Tommy Lee Jones eating the steak and talking to
Yep.
Olaf.
Yeah.
But
So, but
before
before
that-
that, we see a newsreel of him doing these things, and Peggy's still pissed off at him. But she sees him open up a compass, and he's got a picture of her, and she goes, "Okay,
Very
he loves
convenient.
me. He loves me."
Yeah.
Right? And then, of course, they have to storm the train, which I can't remember why they had to storm the train, but they only get one shot.
Because
at it, and
Zoloff
it's
was
cool.
on
Get
it.
Zola.
Yeah.
So they had Zola. That's great. They get there. It's a cool action scene with like some of the guys, oddly reminiscent of Wolfenstein 2, which if you guys haven't played, there's a great train sequence in that. That's very much exactly like that. They get all the way to there. This big guy blows Bucky out of the fucking water, and Captain America.
And another really bad CGI.
And another really bad
Where we like
CGI.
hang on Bucky going, ah! Like Wilhelm scream, like, what
Right.
the fuck is this?
Can't save Bucky. He's super torn apart, but
Very
he does
sad.
get Zoloft, and Zoloft gets brought back, and Tommy Lee Jones has that great scene where he's eating the steak, And he's like, hey, I already put it out on the newswire that you're a traitor and everyone's going to try to kill you. So you got 2 options. You can work for us or you can go out there and get killed by Red Skull. And then they're like, cool. So then they realize he's got 1 stronghold left. And Captain America's like, they're like, we just can't walk through the front door, which makes 0 sense because that's what they've done for every other fucking factory that they've attacked, which I guess this is in a remote outpost in the Aspen or whatever the fuck they're at. They're in Colorado. They're in the Alps. But apparently it's not an impenetrable fortress because they can just zip line in.
Yeah, that's what doesn't make sense. Why do they zip line it like everyone else zip lines in after he's gotten in? It's like, why didn't they all just do that? Yeah.
It was weird.
Was it like a distraction? When he went and attacked, they must have like shot the zip
It's
lines.
because the movie makers wanted you to think that it was over, Kevin.
Oh, yeah, it was definitely to heighten the
Zip lines
tension.
come in, and then the guys with the blue guns are just fucking eviscerating people left and right.
Which was cool looking.
Yeah.
But I feel like from the zip lining on, the movie really just falls apart, and it went from being very easy to follow what was happening.
Sorry, we missed the most important, like one of the worst CG shots I've ever seen in all of the Marvel history.
Oh, right.
Where he's like, hey, he's standing there and he's talking to the 8 soldiers, which looks terrible, by the way.
Yeah, if you that whole thing is on green, he's got like a glass of water.
And he turns around and he goes, "Hail Hydra," and the just total ranks of people go, "Hail Hydra." But they didn't do the thing they normally do for that, where they alter like some of the stances. Like literally all the lens flares for all the guns were exactly the same. Yeah. So you could tell they just took one and multiplied him like 50 times and then put him in ranks of the rows. And it looked, there was way too much depth of field. Like there was no, it just looked so out of place and so weird. And then that's where like most of the third act plays out, is that weird scene where he's chasing after the fucking plane in this total CG hangar. It's weird.
Don't look at me. I'm not going to kiss you. I was like, great job, Tommy Lee Jones. Great. It's great.
Yeah.
That was a great moment. Yeah, that was good.
Also, Tommy Lee Jones, when he fucking came ready for action, and he's like, let's get him. I'm like, oh shit. I didn't expect to see him.
Tommy Lee Jones is
like,
fuck around,
in the
man.
action, driving cars and shit. Cool. I'll take it, even though it looks really awkward and CG and shitty. But yeah, from then on, once they get into the plane, and it's like, you see, like, he looks over, he sees all the different names of the cities that these
bombs are.
They're all like suicide.
Yeah, they're bomb planes.
Yeah,
Were they suicide? Like, I don't think.
I got the idea they were suicide bombers in their weird little propeller bombs.
Because they could pilot the plane, and the plane was shaped like a bomb.
But they also had an ejector seat.
It's true.
Why put an ejector seat in a suicide?
I don't know, man. See, this is what I'm saying.
No. Well, I think to my counter to that would be that the other guy had the underwater submarine, which was the same build. So I just assumed that, these were just rigged to, I mean, you have you could fly them anytime, but they rigged them up to drop these weird ass.
We assumed that
Tesseract
they had
bombs.
some sort of Tesseract.
On second viewing of this, I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to. So I'm like, oh, maybe the third act isn't as bad as I remember it being. But once he went back into the plane, like when he was in the plane, and it was obvious that he could drop the bombs himself, and they weren't self-guiding, I was like, why wouldn't you just do that?
So there's a couple cool action scenes there where he starts dropping the things out, and then at one point he leaves the plane.
Yeah, he leaves on
gets
it.
back on the plane somehow.
And then he rides the plane, like he ejects the guy.
Well, he ejects the guy.
But the dude getting ejected and going through the propeller is like,
brutal.
holy shit.
Yeah.
That was
really violent.
I loved it. Like, well, this wasn't made by Disney, right? This was
No, this is
Universal.
Paramount.
Still
Paramount.
pre-Disney,
Yeah, that's crazy. But like, the violence in this movie, there was a lot of Nazi killing.
Yeah.
And like that blood mist that came out after he threw the dude
It
was
fucking
shocking.
nuts.
Yeah.
But like, so at that point, then he gets back on the thing, and there's still the one bomb going for New York that's still there, and then that's when he faces off against Red Skull.
Right.
And
Instead
Red
of
Skull
just
monologuing, doing the whole bad guy villain thing, but like, maybe I'm just a fucking idiot. What was the point of what happened? What ended up happening? He got
have
the Tesseract.
no idea.
Got sucked into Asgard.
Yeah, he started like shooting, and I think that they started fighting, and somebody hit the like Tesseract
Let me check my notes.
holding
Oh,
thing,
Jesus.
Yeah, the Tesseract actually, but it pops
and it
up,
like activated
and he
the Tesseract.
grabs it for some reason.
Well,
and
so
then it melts
you guys,
him
I think you have to
and
remember that
teleports
the
him.
Tesseract is the Infinity Stone for
Space.
Blue.
space.
That's space, right?
Space.
So I feel like when he picked it up, it
what it does
teleported him
is it
someplace.
teleports you.
Well, yeah, I mean, you see all the same
So-
weird Asgard
yeah,
shit.
yeah,
that we saw when
somehow-
Loki fell.
Somehow they turn it on and it teleported him somewhere in the universe.
then it
we don't know.
burned-
We assume he's dead. It could have teleported
really
him
hope
to
he comes
Thanos.
back,
Well,
you know?
I hope so
that's-
too,
That's
yeah.
the thing is, it's been a while, and
Yeah.
maybe he will at some point. Maybe
Yeah.
it's a weird Hugo Weaving, like doesn't want to be
It
back.
said in
type
the
thing.
trivia that
doesn't
Hugo
really
Weaving
care,
didn't
yeah.
want to come back.
It didn't say he didn't want to. He was like,
He said he was reluctant to come back.
I
He
thought
didn't want
the Tesseract was like not only teleporting, but it looked like it was tearing him apart. Like,
well, I think it's just because we've never seen it teleport anyone. We've
it
seen
looked
it
a
make
lot
a
like
gate.
it looked a lot like the Asgardian like teleporter where
Yeah.
they like go and you just
Yeah.
get sucked up into it. But that was another one of those weird things where I was like, okay, I get he holds it, and the power kind of teleports him. But then it drops onto the floor and then melts through. But why didn't it melt through the other stuff? I don't know. That was weird.
Well, I don't think it was activated. At no point did it create like a.
Okay, so you think it was just so it was so hot?
Yeah, now it was like full. Like yeah,
I buy that.
Had it in. I forget. Was it touching it or did it have like a containment field around it?
It was touching it, but I think it was just because he was afraid to touch it with his hands.
Well, sure, because
it would zap him into fucking
obviously
the ethos.
It was in a wooden box before you know not to touch it.
Yeah, don't touch it. It's a wooden box in the middle of a tree. This whole sequence, I'm like, what is fucking happening, right?
Yeah.
And then he gets on the horn with Peggy, and obviously it's on autopilot. Yeah. He clicks it on autopilot and he can't.
Well, yeah, the thing that wasn't well explained, but I took away from it was that autopilot put it on a course for New York.
Okay.
And that he couldn't,
he couldn't turn it off.
Yeah, he took it off autopilot. He had now control of it.
But we've also established that
he said he couldn't take it off autopilot.
No.
I don't know.
I'm sorry. I believe he took it off autopilot because it was going to go to New York. So he takes it off autopilot. Now he has control of it.
Right.
But he doesn't know how to fly a plane.
Sure.
So he was like, my only option is to take this down into the ocean.
Sure.
And she's like, wait, Howard can help you.
We don't have time. We're getting too close.
There's no time.
We're getting too close.
Like, wait, why? Like, I don't.
This plane is flying at approximately light speed.
Yeah,
evidently.
It's going really fast.
So this is where I'm like, look, I know that there is a suspension of disbelief that has to happen for us to even to understand what's going on with the super soldier being created in roughly 5 minutes. I get that. But there's one bomb left, and we've already established that these bombs need pilots. There's no one left on the fucking plane. What's happening with that bomb? Go back into the fucking thing, launch the bomb, and then jump the fuck out. We also know that he can jump out of fucking airplanes and not need a parachute.
Did
right?
He not have a parachute?
No, I
think he had a parachute when he jumped out earlier.
Yeah.
No. I'm talking about in Winter Soldier where he goes, did he have a parachute? He's like, nope, he did not. Right? He just jumps out into the fucking ocean from like
he does
a halo jump from the ocean. Right? So none of this makes any sense to me as why he would have to. First off, why would he have to scuttle the plane? Like, why would he have to crash it? Why wouldn't he try to land it? Like, why wouldn't you be like, well, self-preservation. I'm going to try to land this motherfucker.
Land it. He didn't know.
But
I'm with you. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. The Wikipedia thing says, seeing no way to land the plane without the risk of detonating its weapons, Rogers crashes it into the Arctic.
You go like this, and then you put it in the fucking ocean. Like, I don't understand what.
That's what he did.
He put it in the Arctic fucking.
No, he put it in the ocean. It drifted to the Arctic eventually.
He put it right in the ice.
No, he puts it on the ice. It sinks into the ice.
Yeah.
I'm
just saying, for a guy who could memorize a map by looking at it like that, not very smart when it comes to like self-preservation.
All right, cool, up, down, punch out the glass. Like you punch through the glass. And, I mean, I know it doesn't make any more sense than anything else, but it's just like I feel like I would have at least tried to. All right, the plane's going down. The plane is going down in the Arctic.
Right.
I can bail out here and see. We'll try to figure.
Like
this out.
I was like again, and then this is where it's just so disappointing because I was like, this movie's not that bad. But then like you get to this part, I'm like, none of this makes any sense. I get we have to get him in the ice. We've got this machine behind him that's like malfunctioning constantly. Why don't we have that just fucking zap him or some shit like that, and then he takes it down? But I guess he can't. He has to be heroic and one last ditch effort to kill this thing.
And then here's the thing.
But that moment was really fucking great.
Sucked, and it was confusing as fuck. But his conversation was Peggy.
Yeah, so good.
I loved that shit. It's corny and stupid as it all is.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know.
I mean, I remember watching this in theaters and having a cursory knowledge of Captain America from, Wizard and reading comics here or Marvel comics here and there. And I remember being like, well, there's no way they'll do the ice thing. Because that just doesn't make sense. And then when they open it up with the ice thing, I was like, fuck, we're really going to get there. And then even this, it's just like, so the ice only came in and covered him? Like it didn't flood into the whole thing and freeze in one giant block inside? Yeah. There was somehow just ice on him. It's like, I don't get it.
Well, that kind of makes sense because he went nose deep into it, and that's where the cockpit would have been. But still, all of it.
I mean, they get there to the cockpit and they walk to the cockpit totally free and clear.
Oh yeah.
Until they get to the one pile of ice that's him.
Well, I mean, they might have cleaned it up earlier, right? They were digging and stuff, or was that?
No, that hole just got cut.
They cut the hole. They come down, and there's no ice in the plane except the ice that is him.
The only thing I can think of is that he was like that last conversation with Peggy was so fucking baller. That I'm just going to go downstairs and chill. I'm just going to literally chill out for the next 40, 50 years and then when she dies, she'll be like, he was so awesome. And I'm like, yeah.
And then I'm going to bang her niece.
Yeah, I'm going to just
take
that niece to school.
Future spoilers. Okay, so then to wrap out the movie, here we get this final scene of him in the crash, and then it cuts
Howard
to...
Stark gets the Tesseract.
Yes.
Yes.
Gets the Tesseract.
He's like, keep looking.
It's very Titanic-y.
Shocker, he didn't fucking find him.
Gets that shit, and then it cuts to him in modern day, but it looks like it's old-timey day.
Yeah.
And then he's in a fake set, and then...
That was cool. I like that scene.
That was a great moment.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And he's like, who are you really?
Yeah.
And she's like, what are you talking about? He's like, the game on the radio.
I was there.
That was on May 12th, 19 whatever. I was there. You messed up. Like, who are you? And she's like, and then he pops her in the fucking face. And it's like, who are you?
No, he didn't.
Does that not happen? No.
Jesus,
He's
man.
He
Fake
bursts through the
window.
door and all of a sudden he's in Times Square and he's like, holy shit.
Awesome.
And all of these Acuras pull up again. And then it's like, I'm Nick Fury. We're sorry.
Bad impression.
Disrespected you. And he's like, who are you? He's like, I said I'm Nick Fury. And then Nick Fury's there. It was dope. And he looks
You've
dope
been
as
asleep
fuck.
70 years.
Yeah, he was like,
it was a
basically,
sad
we wanted
moment
to
too,
break
like,
it
I'm
in.
late.
Which I don't know what their plan was there. Hey, man, you
gotta tell
comfortable? You feel like you're in 1945? Guess what? You're not in 1945. You're actually in 2015. Sorry, my bad.
Ease you in. So, I guess that's a way to do it. But that was a cool scene.
Yeah,
Him
awesome
being there.
scene.
And
It
what
was.
the fuck's going on? And then credits, and then post-credit scene of him punching a punching bag, and he punches it off, and it's like, that's kind of cool. Nick Fury talks to him. And
He's
then they
so
just
strong.
hard cut to a fucking Avengers sizzle reel.
Next summer.
Which
Very odd.
very fucking odd, but at the time,
At the time, it was
awesome.
fucking
I remember seeing that
insane,
being
yeah.
like, let's go.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Like seeing all them together, that was the first time. Fucking rad.
It was
So
weird.
good.
But it was weird.
Looking back on it now, that's totally weird. But yeah, you're right.
I
Everyone was
hated
hyped
it.
as fuck.
At the time.
Yeah,
or
but
no?
not at
No,
the time.
at the time, it was the fucking coolest
Yeah, it
thing.
was
'Cause it was
awesome.
like,
We finally got to
oh
see
my
the
god,
Avengers,
yeah. There was
Now it
at
is
that point it was what
weird.
4 years of build up or 3 years of build up.
Well, more than that with 2008. So
Yeah.
I guess yeah. So
Yeah,
4 total
3
going
years,
into
yeah.
2012.
Yeah.
So. Man, that was fantastic. Going through the rigmarole we do here. Did I miss anything? Cameos. Stanley,
Stanley in there.
of course, as the World War II general.
I
at the
thought he'd
press
be
conference
taller.
For yeah, that's what we
It's
call
a
it.
funny line.
And the officer sitting next to him is played by Reb Brown, who played Captain America in a pair of made-for-TV movies in 1970.
Oh, that's fun.
Not many other cameos that I
Yeah,
got
not much.
anything of, which is weird because all the other ones have had a
Had
billion.
ton.
They had a bunch of like old Captain America writers that they asked, and no one was interested.
Yeah, Jack Kirby was supposed to do it, right?
People
Everybody
were
just
like,
didn't want to
"No,
do it.
not
Nah,
gonna
I'm
be
good. This
there."
movie sounds like not gonna be good.
Can't imagine Jack Kirby was like, what were you doing, Jack Kirby? What you got better to do than
He
go
doesn't
be in
want-
a
he doesn't
fucking
want
major
to do
motion
this.
picture?
That's really all I got for you. So now let's
He's
just
just
go
pissed that
through
Stanley
the
stole
things
from
that we
him.
talked about. So we went through plot, the action. I thought most of the action scenes were pretty good, except the end of it. Fucking sucked.
I didn't see. That's the thing is, I didn't like any of the action sequences, to be honest.
Really?
I
Yeah,
liked
even the scene where
montage.
he's running through the New York streets, I was like, this is okay, it's cool. But the problem is, my reference for it, and again, we're all spoiled babies and we're giving way too much, is the action in fucking Iron Man is my benchmark, and that was way cooler. Right?
That's
like
true.
way cooler. So
And even Thor's
him jumping
action scenes were really good.
Thor had good, like some good action scenes.
It had very
right?
few of them though.
Very few. That Thor's biggest problem was that it was mostly just a rom com
Yeah.
that happened in
No,
and
the problem
amongst.
is I thought it lacked the calm.
Oh, I
mostly
thought
wrong.
it was.
Looking
It was more about just the character.
I like the action
dynamics
here.
of the characters.
I liked the montage. I liked the shield throwing. we
Yeah,
did
I
get.
liked a lot of
I
it, yeah,
loved the
shield.
infiltration when he did. I liked it when he got the 107 out and they did fight together
Yep.
and they were being fun together. I liked.
Also, I liked Hydra's like weapons. I like Hydra
cool.
was cool. I think in
Hydra
every
was very
aspect.
cool.
Yeah,
a lot cooler
I-
upon second viewing.
I really like Red Skull. I think he was cool.
See,
I think he
mean,
was powerful,
I like
like,
that
yeah.
he is just I'm a bad guy. Like
Yeah.
period. I'm a fucking bad guy, and
Yeah.
that's cool. But the end, I mean, I just can't.
The
Give
end
it
is
to him.
it's weird, but I feel like that's the first hints of like the Infinity Stones.
It was also weird that he was the one piloting the plane. Like,
well,
why
I mean,
is the
he
one
like
piloting
fucking
the
booked
plane?
it. As soon as people broke
Oh,
in,
that's a
he was
good
like,
point.
"I'm fucking out."
He like kicked the. He's
Yeah,
like,
he
get out,
was-
homie.
yeah.
I got this. That's a good point.
I
Yeah.
really don't like how they handled it because it's like they fought and they literally just made the bad guy disappear. Like it's so fucking weird.
I mean,
And-
I
mean,
hope
that's- I think that
someday we get
conversation
more of that.
I was
True.
I was
Yeah.
I think at the time they were probably hopeful of leaving it open for these sequels and where they're going to go with this. And I really hope there's at least some cameo. It doesn't have to be Hugo Weaving, but he's in a jail cell or whatever.
And I'm
Thanos
totally
is
down
doing
for
it.
that. And if they do that, that's going to be super cool. Regardless of even if he came back in the next movie, I thought the way they handled it was super awkward and not clear.
Yeah.
Sure.
He's giving a monologue, they're fighting, and then he's gone. And
I
it's
think,
like-
but it's interesting you see it there, but with what Kevin just talked about, right? Like now it's more clear, and you're like, that is actually kind of cool. That he didn't realize this whole time he had this infinite source of power, but he didn't really know what it was for until he picks it up. And then, of course, all of
It
his
fucks
like
him,
all
yeah.
of his ego and his ambition totally fucks him, and he just teleported somewhere else. Yeah. That was kind of cool.
That is, I just feel like that's something that
Well,
requires
they don't.
build up.
The
in
problem is they
movie to
don't
get
kill
to that
off
point.
any of these main
Yeah.
bad guys, right? So you
well-
have to get rid of them somewhere because they never know if you're going to bring them back.
No, the bird guy got blown up.
Which one was the
He
bird? guy?
self-destructed. The Whiplash.
Yeah, bird.
I went to my bird.
But no, everyone.
Oh wait, Iron Man's
Tony Stark.
Tony,
I'm
yeah.
sorry, Obadiah Stane.
Blow himself up. Yeah.
Do we know that
Yeah.
he's dead?
I mean, he
We saw him like
exploded.
this.
He exploded in like the middle of.
He was just his head was shit. He's like,
Whiplash dead, Abomination in jail,
but not dead.
Yeah, no. Or well, I mean, some kind of.
And then
some
Loki,
sort of
we know
jail that can
Loki's not
hold
dead.
the
He's
whole-
dead inside.
Yeah, dead inside for sure. I on this Red Skull thing. I don't know how we're doing. Sorry. I fucking loved Red Skull.
I love
it was
him
a good
too.
villain.
Good. I'm
And
really excited
part
about
of this,
yeah.
of course, is that Hugo Weaving is awesome.
He's so good.
He's
Yeah.
He's great.
He played that character perfectly.
And it was very much like it was. Whoa, Hogan! Like it was like a Colonel Klink Nazi guy, but I was like, this is fun.
Yeah.
I'm having fun with him.
Yeah, I liked that he had grand ambitions and had a plan and some sort of strategy, right? Like
Yeah.
one of the things that I thought was cool is obviously like World War II is terrifying because of the Nazis. So what happens when you invent a character that the Nazis are scared of? I think that's really fucking cool. And this guy has this. Well, it's not cool. It's terrifying. But this guy has a plan that he's actually executing, and it's fucking like he's gonna fuck over Hitler and do all these things. I think that's pretty cool. I thought it was a lot more fleshed out than jack me up with this serum. I'm ready for it. If I had the body that I had 5 years ago with the knowledge that I have right now, I'd still be super short.
Well, one of the things I read in the trivia is that in the formula, like the unperfected super serum formula, like fucks up your. So with the Red Skull, it made him red, and it did the same things with Abomination, where it was growing the bones out of there. So like I like the little similarities. Yeah.
Going.
Yeah.
That is cool. The comedy for this movie, I feel like it had enough. You know, like it definitely wasn't a lot. It's not as funny as like an Iron Man movie. But
I mean,
like,
I thought it had the right amount for what they were doing.
and I think it built the Captain America character that we now know. Like the whole fondue joke. How it kept coming back and stuff. It's like that fits into his character, and I feel like they kind of overuse that type of shit in later movies. But in this one,
language,
like, they did a good job.
No, but like
hilarious.
no, it wasn't.
It
I
was so
love
funny.
the one in this one of. Hey man, are you sure you know what you're doing? He's like, yeah, I've knocked out Hitler over 200 times. And
Yeah.
he turns and walks away. It's like, that's
So
really
good.
fucking funny.
I'd be like, what are you talking
Yeah,
about?
I hate
They all were.
that.
They
Yeah.
all were.
Oh,
Like, what?
In terms of this movie standing alone, yeah, you know, I think it was an origin movie that they had to get out of the way to explain Captain America so that he can be who
The
we know
leader,
him
yeah.
to be. And it's so funny because it's like looking back, if I just watched that movie, I'm like, Captain America's fucking pretty lame. But then from Avengers on, it's like, man, him and Tony are really the focal point of this franchise.
Yeah, this was definitely the first one that we've watched from like this movie was better because of everything that came after it.
1,000%.
If you would've
like,
said-
that was my biggest
Yeah.
takeaway from this because I've talked shit about Captain America on
Me
GOG
too.
and stuff when we talked it, and I hadn't watched this one in forever, so I had almost forgotten not that he was small, Steve Rogers or whatever, but who Steve Rogers was before he's Captain America, and I feel like part of that I do put on the movies, even though we're watching them now and I'm seeing so many different things in them, but the fact that Winter Soldier and Civil War and Avengers to an extent didn't remind me more of that because like again Stanley Tucci's character of being like, you know, I mean, whatever is bad it amplifies, whatever is good it amplifies.
Right.
Promise me you'll never forget who you are kind of thing. Like that when I have that lens on thinking about everything and when I knowing everything I know now coming back to it is like, oh fuck.
Like he's not just a superhero.
Yeah.
Like he's a good dude.
I still hate the fact that he's like, yes, man, yes, general, no, general. Like, and I mean, granted, the movies start deviating from that when we get where we are now, where he's like, nomad or whatever. But it's so hard for me to connect with this guy who's. But I don't know, whatever. This movie, like, I super enjoyed this one. Like, I really had a great time with this one. I like this one a lot. I loved it way more. I remember leaving the theater and being like, that was fine, whatever. But it was because I knew nothing about him and didn't know anything going forward. Where I'm sorry, coming back knowing so much, I felt like I enjoyed this one way more.
I still think one of my most favorite parts of the movie was the speech that Tucci gives him before he injects him, like the day before, the night before.
Oh,
God, and the drink thing.
I
Yeah,
thought that
which
was such
hilarious.
a great monologue, and then it ends with that
I don't
great
have a
joke
bracelet.
of,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't have to do this. I'm going to take both of these drinks. That's probably
No,
my
drink
favorite
that.
part of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then universe building, we kind of touched on a lot of that stuff, but the whole beginning thing with the Tesseract and connecting it to Thor, and then obviously the later parts connected to it.
I think
So-
this one.
Peggy Carter
and
herself.
Peggy Carter
Yeah.
in general,
Yeah.
and Howard Stark being in it, which I think is a real key thing, and that's super cool.
Zoloft being in it, or what's his
Zola?
name? Zola being in it. Like, I feel like this one has so much universe building for the future, where it's like Winter Soldier's in it.
Yeah, no, and
it's-
that's so true.
and,
like
like,
that's super.
yeah,
super
he
awesome.
survives because they were experimenting on him. Like
Yeah.
we see that, like him saving from the
Yeah,
experimentation.
and that was the other thing too of like I remember at the time being like, oh, that's Bucky Barnes. He eventually becomes the.
I didn't put that
And
together.
he falls off the thing, and you're like, oh no, I guess he wasn't.
And I was like,
I didn't
well, I was
realize
like,
they
I'm
were
sure they'll bring him
experimenting
back,
on it.
but it's like
Yeah.
I don't think about how they'll bring him back, and he's going to be the star of like 2 movies.
Yeah, it's
Digital,
crazy.
and, like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And like I'm watching it and thinking about that, and I'm like, oh, thinking about Spider-Man, like, oh, you got a metal arm, that's so cool. It's like, fuck, this is so cool.
Yeah.
What Marvel's done with this fucking shit is so fucking
unreal.
cool.
It's fucking cool.
Real quick, I want to just talk about the special effects because a lot of the effects in like I want to say like the second half of the movie are kind of like shitty when they do the montage. It like, why is he on green when they do but like holy shit, the thin.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Steve
can tell
Rogers,
that's where a
Steve
lot of the
Rogers.
budget for the effects
Dude,
went.
that looked so good.
There's
That
only a
was
few times where I look
impressive.
at it, I'm like, that doesn't look right.
There were
Yeah,
a few
yeah.
scenes
But
where
there were so many more where
But
I was
they were
like, that was
few.
fucking awesome.
And he's in that movie a fair
he
amount.
needed like anytime he's standing still, I'm like, you got to get him moving because this looks not great when he's standing still.
Well, they
When
did it in
he's-
three different processes apparently.
Yeah.
Like when he's moving, those are the scenes that I'm like, this looks really impressive and convincing. Like, holy
Yeah, because you
shit,
could
man.
tell there were a couple times you're like, listen, we are out of fucking money. Okay, go raid the vending machine, get as many quarters as you can, and for the love of God, Chris Evans, you just sit like this, don't move, and try not to move your face either. Just kind of look down a little bit and look up a little bit. But anything like this, we can't do it. We don't have money
Hold
for
on,
it.
You lost me in the vending machine.
I was just go get
They were
extra
out
cash.
of money.
Money.
We
Go
need,
get some
we
spare
need some
cash.
money.
Oh, got it. Okay.
It was a
Okay.
stupid joke. But like, yeah, that process is very, 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 very expensive. And even at the time, right? If you remember that similar process of like facial
Winklevoss
reconstruction like that,
twins.
they did it on Winklevoss Twins, they did it on Benjamin Button, but they also did it on Tron Legacy, and that ruined that fucking movie. It was so bad in Tron Legacy, so was the rest of the movie, that it
Oh, yeah, I don't
ruined the
know if
movie.
that ruined
That
the
it ruined the
movie.
movie.
But
For me,
okay,
it did.
you guys, do you want to do your little ragu baggy
Ragu
thing?
Bagu Vids.
Ragu
Bagu.
Bagu Vids is back. You can follow us on twitter.com/Ragu Bagu Vids.
What
I
are
don't
you
know
up
if
to
we've
right
updated
now?
it in a
What
few
are you up
weeks.
to
Yeah,
now?
I tweeted a week ago. I just tweeted out.
I went to my booth.
I won my book.
Yeah, I really
That's really funny.
That was a couple weeks ago. I would rank Red Skull
Yeah.
at the top. I think he's my favorite villain.
I'm in with that.
Ooh,
100%.
You know what? I know that I'm not a part of this officially because Kevin and I were never actually voted in. Even
No,
though I think I'm
Remember,
president
they
and you are
again.
co-president.
They
No, you
didn't.
didn't.
They didn't detest our vote.
No,
No,
yeah, I
they
did.
didn't fight our vote.
I protested. the
So
vote.
no, it was after the week.
Yeah,
No,
I'm
I'm
trying to
not-
think.
The week. It doesn't work.
I would
I'm
put
sorry.
him.
I'm actually nominating Nick for founder. Actually,
Thank you. I'd like to nominate Kevin as co-founder. Thank you.
it's some really exciting times for us.
Guys, so much. Why can't you let us have any
It's
fun?
nice
know.
being at the ground level. I don't know. I would say that Loki was
Right now, what we have is
Excellent. Here we go. This is what we need.
number 1, Rockwell Mickey. Number 2, Obadiah. Number 3, Loki. Number 4, Abomination.
Are you? We put Rob. we put
Abomination
Mickey?
should be much higher than
Well,
that.
you know what? You should have been on Ragu Bagu.
I
Vids with
was
us.
on it.
No,
You
we're
guys
not.
just
That's the
ignored
thing.
me.
We were
And I
not
agree.
asked
I
to be
think
a part
based on
of it
all
yet.
that,
Red
I
Skull?
would say Red Skull at number 1.
Okay,
I
can
would
we
say so,
can we
too.
move up Abomination?
Wait. Well, Greg and I can move whatever we want. You guys.
Can we
are not
move
allowed
Abomination does not deserve to move.
Let's
No,
well, at
he
least
does not.
higher than Obadiah.
to. No.
I feel like
Obadiah is
Loki's, I feel like
fucking
Loki's
awful.
a better villain
Doesn't
than.
make
But we're
sense.
talking about Loki in Thor 1.
Yeah,
We're
he
not
was
talking
much-
about going
He
forward.
kind of sucks in Thor.
That's a hard no right there.
No,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, I got
exactly. So
outvoted
there
by
you
I like
go.
that Tim walked away for this part.
Currently,
Good
he's
call,
got to
Tim.
hide his pee somewhere for his 3 fucking.
All right, here we go. Here we go. What's
Currently,
the
then the Ragu Bagu Vids standings are: number 5, Abomination;
Mhm.
number 4, Loki;
Mhm.
number 3, Obadiah Stane; number 2, Rockwell/Mickey; number 1, Red Skull.
Okay.
There you go. There's the rankings.
That's ridiculous.
Follow
Now
us on
let's
Twitter.
bring up the real ranking of the MCU thus far. Cool, Greg. Thank you very much for that. At number 1, we have Iron Man. Number 2, we have Iron Man 2. Number 3, we have the Incredible Hulk. And
Nope.
number 4.
I don't agree with this
Oh,
ranking,
this is what
but that's
you-
fine.
you
But
got
no,
outvoted
we voted.
last
We
time.
voted. You got
That's how it
outvoted.
works.
Maybe
You
show up
can't
to
do
work.
that. Don't be contesting the vote.
yeah,
That's
don't-
what, I mean, that's
we
fine.
hear
You
we
got
hear it.
outvoted. Everybody
We
got their
hear it.
chance
Listen,
to win.
You
You
this.
can
can,
have-
you can have
Lot
your
of-
vote. I
listen.
will have my personal vote.
A lot of
No,
games.
don't
That's
do that.
not how
This
it works.
isn't
We're
Ragu
doing this
Bagu.
we're doing
This
this
is real.
together.
Listen,
This
a lot
is
of
real.
games. A lot of games left in the season. Anything can happen. You have to understand. We've got quite a few more to put on there.
Good job,
Anything
good
can get
job.
shifted around. You see what I'm saying? It's not
No,
going to go
making a
down
solid
up your
point.
list.
So,
just saying,
okay.
anything
So
can get shifted
then
around.
Thor coming in at number 4. So now we are
Wait, how does
adding-
your list deviate real quick? Just because I
Thor is number 3 and Hulk is 4.
Thor's number
You
Thor
got outvoted
2
last
is number
time,
3.
so
You
it's
got
over.
outvoted. So this is definitive and it stands. We're trying to add Captain America, the first Avenger, to this list.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where do we think it stands?
For me, and it pains me to say this
shit.
because I
excited.
love
Excited.
Chris Hemsworth so much.
There it is.
And I really did enjoy Thor on the last one. But again, looking back at Captain America and what it means for the rest of the series and knowing a lot more about the Tesseract and all and the Infinity Stones and all these things, I got to put it one step above Thor.
But
So-
you think under Incredible Hulk?
Oh, see, no,
see,
I think
shit.
I think it's number 3. I think it's an easy
I think
number 3
I think it nudges
too.
down Incredible Hulk also.
Because I think it's definitely under Iron Man 2. I think Iron Man 2
Yes.
is better.
Yeah.
A more entertaining movie, Iron Man.
Yeah,
2,
more
I think.
entertaining. And that's the thing is like overall, when I'm looking at it with the world building, and I did like Whiplash a lot more than I remembered. And Tony Stark is just
He's just so
so
fun to
important
watch.
to the
He's so
MCU.
fun to watch.
Is it better than Incredible Hulk? I mean, yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. 100%.
I mean, I would put Captain America at number 2. I would bump down Iron Man 2 and I would go Iron Man, Captain America, Iron Man 2, Incredible Hulk, Thor.
So do we all agree that it's better than Incredible Hulk?
yes.
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 Okay.
So it's either
So it's
gonna
at
be
least
But I
Yeah.
don't think it's better than Hulk.
Shut up. Why do you want to be this guy?
Isn't that what you just?
Why do
that's
you
what
want
he
to be
just
this
said.
guy?
I don't.
There was a
think
movie, Ang Lee's Hulk. That's what he's talking about. He's making jokes.
Oh, okay.
It's okay.
I'm confused.
What? You're also hot.
So okay, so we have it right now. It's at least
three.
It's at least number 3.
So then now
the question is it better than Iron Man 2?
I think if we're looking at like what Nick was saying, we're looking forward at the whole like the universe as a whole.
But no. We're looking at this. We're comparing it to these movies.
I still think
I mean, what am I like? That's the thing. Like, talking with you guys now, thinking about how it like Civil War fits into it, and all the little references that they
No, keep going. I'm sorry.
all the references that they put into it that like would further like come out and be stories. I think that it's better than Iron Man 2.
See, I think Iron Man 2, I mean, I would agree with you on that because I think we're all on the same page on that, but I just can't get, Iron Man 2 is just a much more fun and entertaining movie to me. Yeah. The action sequences are so much more fun. It was awesome seeing War Machine and Tony fighting and Iron Man fighting at the end. I just, through and through, that movie kept me coming back to like I always do this thing where I'm like, I'm going to pick up my phone and check trivia, and every 5 seconds I was like, no, I'm going to watch this Monaco race thing. This is cool. I just think it's a much better, for an action adventure film, it is so much better paced and more well done.
And see, I'm not trying to be this guy about it, but I think that's maybe where I differentiate, right? Is that I feel Captain America is such a great comic book movie. I feel like the coloring and the palette they use and the set pieces they use, to me, really feel like I'm watching a comic book on screen.
See, I
think Iron Man 2.
I'm more with Iron Man 2, like especially when you look at like the final fights of War Machine and Tony Stark together doing something like that's comic.
Maybe lead with that. I only got one battery or whatever.
I loved all of that.
That was great.
Yeah, I mean,
it's great.
Everything you're saying. So sorry, I agree with what you're saying in terms of like looking at the others on this movie. I'm saying when we're making these rankings, we're not thinking about where the other ones fit until the time comes for that.
When Zola and Schmidt leave and they escape, and then Tony or fucking
Not scratch.
Howard.
Yeah, no, Captain America, like you think he dies or whatever. I paused the movie there because I needed to go pee. How much movie left is left in this movie? 48 minutes. Yeah. I was like, God, this is dragging, man. And
so dragging.
That's why I have it at number 4.
You have it at 4.
So you have it underneath the Incredible Hulk.
No, because I have Hulk. I have Thor at 3.
No.
I have Thor at number 3.
You've lost the vote.
You lost the vote.
I have Thor at 3.
God,
You're just confusing.
So the official
listener.
rankings are now Iron Man.
What
Iron
if we
Man
did it
2.
mathematically?
I mean, is that the case? Like, do we need to vote?
I don't think I think I'm the only one pushing for 2 for Captain America.
I was also pushing for 2. Like, I honestly believe.
So then final vote. Who thinks that Captain America 2 deserves this? Sorry, Captain America, the first Avenger, deserves the second spot in between Iron Man 1 and Iron Man 2.
I do.
We raise our hands?
Yeah.
I don't know. So it's just the two of us.
So, okay.
Yeah.
So everyone else thinks it takes the third spot?
The final rankings as of now. Number 1, Iron Man. Number 2, Iron Man 2. Number 3, Captain America, the first Avenger. Number 4, The Incredible Hulk. And number 5, Thor.
For those about to Ragnarok.
Next week's movie, The Avengers.
Ooh.
I watched
Wait
Captain America on
for
the plane ride back from Canada.
Okay.
And the in-flight entertainment system had Ragnarok on it, and it was so hard not to finish
Why didn't
Cap
you
and go
just
watch
do it?
Because I know I want to watch it in
Precious.
I don't want to.
Yeah,
I don't
I know
want
what
to
you
come
mean,
back and be like, it's my third viewing of Ragnarok. Now it means less.
I'm
than-
the same, yeah. I'm the same way.
Oh, man, I've already
Ragnarok's
seen
gonna be
Ragnarok
so
like
high on
4
the list.
times.
So high.
So high on the list.
Cannot wait. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us this week. Like I said, the homework for next week is The Avengers. Let us know in the comments below what you think about our ranking and what your ranking would be. Cannot wait to see them in all the discussion. Again, please subscribe, youtube.com/kindafunnygames, and on podcast services, look up Kinda Funny Reviews. Until next week.
Have a marvelous day. Thor is better than Hulk.
Where's my bird?
Where's my bird?
Looks like somebody's ready for a mission.
You got a mission for me?
I do. Should eat this fudge.
That's good.
I don't get the joke.
It's weird. It's a weird joke.